Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We are glad to welcome you once again in the studio in Moscow, where we are commentating on first leg of FIDE Grand Prix this year, first leg of 2019 Grand Prix series, the tournament in Moscow, and today we have the first game of round 2. So 8 players left, and during next week or 2 weeks rather, right, we will know the name of the winner of the first leg of Grand Prix. Daniel Ufa and myself, we will be your co-hosts for today's broadcast as well as all the other broadcasts. So, Daniel, hi. And what do you think we should be looking at today? I mean, what will be our game of the round? We have 4 games, 8 players, right? So, well, actually, we do have the players roster, so we can once again see who already has got eliminated. So let's quickly go through.
Yeah, so the top seeds, Anish Giri
and Mamidjar and Shahriar Mamidjar, they left the tournament.
Yeah, both 2 top seeds left the tournament, and Daniel Dubov and Wojtaszek
advanced through. Yes, then we lost Sergei Karyakin, who lost to Alexander Grischuk, and Levon Aronian was eliminated by Jan Nepomniachtchi. That were like the highest seeds, let's put it this way.
Yes, and Jan Krzysztof Duda and Dmitry Yakovenko lost their matches against Wesley So and Wei, respectively.
Yeah, Timur Rajabov got eliminated in the tiebreak yesterday against Hikaru Nakamura, and Nikita Vityugov lost to Peter Svidler. So for today, we have Daniil Dubov playing against Hikaru Nakamura.
Yes, so you just asked me what can be the game of the day, and it may be a bit optimistic, but I would rather bet on Nakamura against Dubov, because Daniil shows some kind of incredible chess this tournament. I mean, with some kind of mistakes, but I mean, you all know that we do not use engines, and obviously players do not use engines because of fair play rules, and it looks like Daniil is just trying to win any position with any color, and we'll see what he's going to do today.
Yeah, absolutely. So far the brightest play, let's put it this way.
Obviously.
Yeah. So while maybe not all the time mathematically correct, but he really shown a very exciting play. So indeed, Hikaru Nakamura will have the white pieces. It might be tricky in this regard, and I'm curious to see if Daniil today will choose something a bit more solid, or will stay true to his style. Right here, 2 gentlemen at your screen, Alexander Grischuk and Wesley So. Alex Grischuk will have the white pieces in game 1.
And famous Nolaga Prindishvili behind them.
Great women's world champion, or ex-world champion as of now. Yeah, she is the honorable guest to make a first move in the game between Grischuk and Wesley So. So we could see it was 1d4. I'm not sure if Grischuk will play 1d4.
Yes.
Because he's, well...
Yes, but Grischuk can play almost any opening with white, but usually he starts with e-pawn, and yeah, so we'll see. I mean, he plays against Wesley So, who is quite solid with black pieces, but Grischuk managed to win a very complicated game against Sergei Karyakin in round 1, so we'll see what he will manage to get out from the opening.
Wei with white against Jan Nepomniachtchi, and if you remember yesterday off air we had a little chat about Jan being very successful against Chinese players, which is very strange generalization, because obviously the players from China, there is quite a number of good players with various styles, with different approaches to the game, and still it looks like Nepo has very good score against nearly all of them.
Yes, and despite the fact that the new generation of Chinese players is maybe one of the strongest, I mean, franchise, but Nepomniachtchi performs quite well against them. So we'll see what will if Wei is possible to, I mean,
kind of to improve the statistics.
Yes.
Yeah, and I think it was Wei himself whom Nepomniachtchi beat in Kazakhstan in World Team, right? I think he won a game against Wei.
I think he won a game against UNE.
Oh no, that was
it was like a
right.
Petrov
It was
defense,
board two. Yeah. That was this Petrov. Yeah, right. By the way, Wei plays Petrov as well. I
Yes,
mean, if
yes.
now we are talking about game two, possibly, right? So if in game two where Nepo will be
Yeah, we
white,
have some predictions
will go
about
he will go e4 and
opening game 2. So the games.
yeah, and then
started.
let's not forget we have one more pair. Peter Svidler will have the white pieces against Radoslav Wojtaszek. So, and yeah, I just had a little chat with Peter 5 minutes before the start, and he said he was a bit surprised with the colors because, well, they played 2 games. So for some it might seem it doesn't really matter. Right, I mean, you play with white and you play with black, but yeah, once again, I mean, for such experienced players, sometimes it's like having white being a second game in a match. Maybe, well, it depends, but for some it is an advantage, for some it is disadvantage. So the point being that by the old rules, the highest seed plays with the white pieces, and Radek Wojtaszek, after winning against Mamedyarov, he would kind of pick up his numbers.
Yes.
So he would be higher seated than Peter,
Right.
despite the actual rating, right?
And you know, like as you told that Peter was surprised with colors, and now he spent some time in the opening. I wonder if he prepared for the game 1 with white pieces.
Yeah, no, he did. Yeah, he said he's got an email from the chief arbiter
Okay.
yesterday. So it wasn't like you come to the game, you discover you play with the
Yes,
with the other color.
You know, but once I had the same situation, I've totally forgot that so I had like 2 games in a row against Russian grandmasters Alexander Predke and Daniil Dubov, and I saw that I'm playing against Predke first, but then I came to the round and I saw that I'm playing against Daniil Dubov, but with the same color.
Yeah,
but
so the color was the
completely
same,
different
but
opening,
yeah, but different opponent. Okay, so and here in Peter's game I can see e4, and then there was no surprise that Wojtaszek went for Sicilian, and it wasn't the open Sicilian, but I believe it was bishop b5 check.
Maybe we can start from this very game.
Yeah, so, and since we have less games, only 4 games in this round, yeah, compared to the previous where we had 8, I believe we will have more time to spend on each game.
Yes,
so
we can focus more deeply.
We'll try to explain the openings a bit more in detail, and so on and so on. Yeah. So let's start with this game. Let's try to take a look at what the opening was.
Yeah, so it was
So
Rossalimo.
bishop b5. Well, I'm actually not sure. I think Rossalimo, you call it with knight c6, bishop b5, and this one, I mean, like
Probably,
in Soviet
yeah.
books, everything which is
maybe
bishop
I'm-
b5
I'm-
was.
I'm not well known with.
Yeah, for some reason it was called Moscow variation. I mean, the proper Moscow variation is the one in Slav
Slav, yeah,
defense. Yeah,
with
bishop
h6.
g5, h6. But this, I believe, in some kind of Soviet periodic.
Okay, maybe
or-
we can call it anti-neither.
Okay, anyway, that's bishop b5 check. Let's go Sicilian bishop b5
Yeah.
check. Right, so bishop b5, avoiding the main lines, and then, to my surprise, I mean, I believe Wojtaszek always plays knight d7. So, to be honest,
Yes, because
I'm
it's
not sure.
completely different type of position.
Yeah, it's like okay, knight c6 is a thing of its own, right?
Yes.
Knight c6, then white, castles, and
Like
if knight f6, he can take, I guess, no? Takes
I
e5
think
is.
this is one of the very bishop
No,
f1 or bishop
a6. No,
c4.
a6. I'm pretty sure white's going
Yeah,
to
sorry, bishop d7.
Bishop
of course,
d7.
yeah,
You
yeah.
have to play bishop
Yeah,
d7,
sorry.
c3, and
Yes,
then
yeah,
after
a6,
a6,
yeah.
you can go to
Bishop
f1. you
f1 or
can-
bishop c4.
Yeah.
So there is
There is this old-fashioned gambit taking on c6, going
yes and
d4.
d4. Right.
Yeah, so that if black takes, white gets some, some
Yes,
initiative.
but the evaluation is as usual. The position is equal.
Yeah,
Yeah, because as I analyzed it recently, and
Right, and then after okay, that's knight c6. The other option after bishop b5 is bishop d7, which leads to somewhat more simplistic positions. White usually takes, even though
Yes.
both a4 and
A4,
c4
C4.
have some point. But
And then
usually white takes, and then queen
queen e7
takes
is more common.
kind of more common. And then once again a crossroad for white. White can go c4, and that's
Castle.
considered to be like the most principal attempt to go c4 and then later d4 and to get. I'd
Yeah,
say
so-
like Marozzi
Yeah,
formation
it reminds Marozzi, but
without the light square bishop,
yes,
so
yes.
it's somewhat different. Or instead of c4, the other thing is just to go castle, rook e1, c3, d4, something like that. That's
yes,
very
this
common,
is
yeah.
one of the well-known lines.
takes,
Probably
yeah, they go
d5.
d5, e5, knight here,
Something
knight
like
e2, yeah. Very popular in blitz. I
Yeah, and
believe, the-
this
these
reminds
lines.
the French defense. But
Yeah.
again, without light-colored bishops,
Yeah,
which can
and then
probably be in black's favor.
That's sort of beneficial for black. Right, and then after knight d7, once again, the most straightforward move is d2, d4.
Yeah.
I believe a lot of games were played with d2, d4, and the capture with the queen, of course. Yeah, so it has some logic, right? Because usually you can go 3, d4, and then take with the queen.
Right.
But knight c6 is the problem. So now you kind of distract the knight to d7, and then you take with the queen. But okay, it's like a6 they play, I guess. Takes, c4, right? And then what? e5, h6,
e5, like
5, queen d3, and
queen c7.
queen c7. I mean, there are some finishes, like sometimes you
Yes,
play
yes.
h6 to prevent bishop g5, yes, or start with queen c7, b5 immediately. That's another position. And what Peter is doing, just simply castling, and then after a6 going to d3. So it's sort of an attempt to play it in, I don't know, I would
You know,
call
like
it
first of all, when I saw this position, I saw
Mhm.
that probably Peter is going to go to this line, which occurred in Carlsen against Topalov. So if I no sorry, yes, it starts from rook e1, obviously.
yeah, it's
Yes,
rook
and
e1.
after b5, which is possible, there is c4 and g5.
Yeah.
So this is
That's-
tempting.
Yeah, but since then, I believe a lot of it's kind of
Yeah, so this line is probably.
this looks just good, no?
I mean,
Takes.
it's like a kind of a very complicated position, which is probably in white's favor, but it's a complete mess on the board, and I believe the chances, I mean, in terms of humans playing, are almost equal.
Okay, no, but what Peter did was it's like a more positional thing, I believe. Rook
Yeah, so
e1, e6,
E6 for the reaction by
e6, a4,
Vladislav.
a4. So the bishop on d3 is only on the way of white's pawn, but white is planning to go c3. Bishop will
Yes.
find its place on c2. Yeah?
Yes, but maybe another option is to start with c3, because we can pinch after b5. Maybe we can pinch with a4 there, and
Mhm.
this is maybe another theoretical position.
Yeah, but that's sort of a theory. They go c4,
Yes.
I believe, and then once again, that you
And it's-
probably have to know
it's very
what you're
difficult to
doing.
understand where black may play b5 and where it can be
That's like just a
harmful.
weakness. And
Yeah.
okay. Anyway, now in our game, Peter went a4, b6. Now, of course, black is happy to play b6 because b5
Yeah,
is
probably Peter
not
played
possible
c3.
at all. Yeah, c3, bishop b7 quickly. So the real question is, bishop c2 is practically automatic, even though Peter is thinking, what's their reaction after bishop c2? That
You know
would be
what,
my question.
It may be very a wise decision by Peter, because like in a very few moves we will see some Ruy-Lopez structures.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I wanted to say. That white is playing the Sicilian kind of in style, in shape of Ruy-Lopez, and
Yes, and it's like it was said in the USSR that Tigran Peterson was feeding his family with king's Indian defense. Probably.
yeah, we can try to say the same about
Yeah,
Peter
yes,
and,
and
Ruy-Lopez with both colors, by the
Right.
way. Yeah. So bishop c2, bishop e7, I suspect. Yeah, I mean you have to develop, and then I'm really curious what's black's reaction after d4. So I suspect it does involve d5 in some way, or kind of c takes perhaps, or an immediate d5. This I'm not sure.
Maybe it's a little bit better
That's
to
like
start with
if
d5, like we are not allowing White's knight to go to c3. I mean,
yeah, that's usually the logic.
at some point it
if
may
you
be
don't
an
want to,
improvement.
yeah, you don't want to take on d4 too early, so that White knight cannot go to c3.
Right.
But then without the capture, maybe.
Yes, I mean,
you
like if e5 is a real threat there.
so you
if I just
mean,
simply castle,
yeah, could be as well. Castle. Okay, let's say White goes knight d2. So then once again, the difference might be that now it's not very attractive for Black to go d5, because after e5 the knight cannot go to e4, but maybe Black can wait one more move, like in this position, to take on d4 now, since the knight is already not coming to c3, and then play a waiting move like rook c8, queen, I mean, I don't know, yeah, rook c8 for instance. So now if knight leaves to f1, then possibly you might play
Maybe I have
b5.
maybe I have just something like queen c7 there.
Queen c7 or rook c7. Sometimes they do rook c7, queen a8.
Yes, rook c7
yeah,
is
like
also possible.
like a reti opening stuff. Yeah, rook c7.
Yeah, and some
queen to a8,
hedgehog
rook,
ideas.
queen to a8, rook to c8. Yeah, so White will get slight space advantage in this case, but Black's position is well, is quite solid. And we can expect, you know, like kind of a long game with a lot of pieces still on the board.
Yes, but it may explode in any moment, at any moment. I mean, just like so. I think d4 is coming very, very soon.
Yeah, the bishop is still on d3. I mean, well, it does look like Peter is looking for an alternative or what. I mean, I'm not quite sure what alternatively what plan can you play in this position.
I don't know.
Wait, in some cases it was 95 for Black. Can this be? That's like bishop c. No, knight a3.
He starts with knight a3.
Interesting. Knight a3.
Yeah, maybe you're right, and after bishop c2, Peter just did like knight e5 immediately.
Knight e5? Yeah, but I mean, if we go d4... so he just exchanges one pair of knights, and then, yeah, which is usually beneficial for the side who has less space.
Yes.
Yeah, could be. Could be. So he goes knight a3, but then...
Yeah, but does knight a3 prevents knight e5 there?
Knight e5 if Black wants it? I'm not sure. Yeah, once again, those positions, they're tricky. After knight e5, I believe the other way to play for White is just to take on e5. And we get a very strange looking position where the pieces of both sides will be really, really restricted, like minor piece activity, right? This pawns in the center, like the e6, e5 pawn, they prevent like practically all white pieces from being active, all black pieces from being active. So knight a3, queen to c7, queen e2. So there is definitely something, you know, some little nuance in this position that we might not know, but both players are aware of. Because, yeah, it's like queen e2 doesn't seem to be an obvious move.
Yes, but the players
as well as queen c7.
ensuring us that knight e5 probably is not the best, because, okay, we all know that Wojtaszek is very good
at opening
at theory,
preparation,
yes, and I wonder he saw this position many times.
So queen c7, queen e2, bishop e7 was played. The fact is that with all those like tricky move orders and everything, White still has to look for d4, d2, d4 one day. I mean, it's like,
What about bishop b1 there?
Bishop b1. Might as well play bishop b1.
Yeah, but it looks a bit illogical that we start with knight e3 and queen e2 and then playing bishop b1.
Yeah.
Or maybe we just simply
what else
don't
can he
understand
do?
something.
Wait a sec. I mean, if we keep the bishop on d3, is b4 ever an idea? I mean, very unlikely, right? Because I don't want to take on c. No, I just thought like b4 and then b5, but then black just takes, not caring too much about giving the square on b5. That's the feeling.
Probably.
I mean, it's
Or
like
maybe
we go
they
b4.
they
Black
just-
doesn't want to take on b4, I suspect, right? Or maybe he. Let's say black castles.
Like, what about
95
95 again?
nevertheless. And then let's say I'm taking on e5 and going b5. Very strange position again. Now if black wants to block everything, then at least I will have a very nice square on
Yes.
c4.
No, it has a real sense there, I see. I mean, because I think a6, a5 is not in black's favor.
Yeah,
Because knight
and
c4 and
Knight
you have a
c4,
very,
yeah,
very easy
somehow
plan.
I do have some plan, like bishop to c2 b3, d2
yeah,
d3, and then maybe to look for f2 f4
Yes.
in some positions.
Yeah, so the bishop is totally restricted, and obviously that white has
Yeah, and then
an
instead of
advantage.
a5, if you try to take on b5, maybe it's like maybe white. I don't know. In this case, what do I do? Do I take? I might take with the bishop actually, and pretend to do the same. Like the bishop takes d3, knight c4,
Like, even if I play bishop c6.
bishop c6, d3.
Like castling.
Yeah, I mean it doesn't look nice for white. Now that I now that I look
No,
at
I
this
mean,
position,
it may be like just playable.
I don't like the fact that my a pawn is weak, for instance, in this case.
But you have some b5 square, and probably in some positions you just want to take with knight and then to double
That
on
could
b
be.
file. Because like if you're trying play for white, I'm trying play for black. I don't like this bishop on e7.
Yeah,
because
bishop on
it's-
e7 is not very
Yeah.
is not very proud fella. But anyway, b4 is not what you usually do in these positions. I just thought like to look for for an original way. If white chose to play such a strange, I would say,
Tricky order.
tricky move order. Yeah, well, he could just go bishop c2, d4. So possibly there is some other plan than just going for d4. And I thought, okay, maybe what else could it be, right? And okay, just seen b4. Why not to try? Okay, let's leave Peter thinking. It seems that the position is, well, okay, maybe he knows it, but doesn't seem that he'll play it very fast, right? So we can say that this transposition between or transition from the opening to middle game has already started.
And I propose to switch to another Sicilian.
Yeah, we have another Sicilian Wei with white against Jan Nepomniachtchi, where same bishop b5 check was played, right?
Yes. But d4.
Bishop b5 check.
Yeah, so
Yeah, the line
all
that
start
we've
from the very
mentioned.
beginning.
So we have two Sicilians with bishop b5, knight d7 here. This time it's Wei against Nepomniachtchi. Well, interestingly enough, I do remember Wei won quite a lot of games in Nidus with white, right? He's playing bishop g5 and very
Yes.
sharp lines, and a lot of like nice games he won there. So the fact that he went for bishop b5 check, it shows the respect to Jan Nepomniachtchi's opening preparation, right? So he decided
Jan
not to go
plays neither for a very long time, and I think it's quite difficult to
surprise him. Yeah.
to make him feel surprised.
So a check, knight to d7, and as we said, the other possible option for white was actually played in this game. d4, c takes, queen takes.
Yes, knight c3 there
Knight
instead
c3.
of c4,
So instead of c4, he's
which is probably more flexible. h6, knight d2
h6,
there.
Yeah, knight d2. So the knight is heading towards d5 square.
Yeah.
Rook c8, knight to c4, knight to e3.
H6.
Castles? Mhm.
Yes, bishop e7 and a4.
Purely positional approach, in
Yes.
fact. a4, b3, I suspect. Okay, I'm not sure where this bishop from c1 is going. You can
Probably
try
to a3.
b3, bishop a3, or bishop b2, or
Then rook d1, bishop e1, and f3 at some
yeah,
point.
that's also possible. So the conflict in such position is about the d5 square, right? If white can make good use of d5 square, like then he's probably somewhat better. Black's say
just-
counterplay resources are not very rich in this position, but at the same time he will be pressing over the c file, right?
Yeah.
That's usually what they do.
Yeah, the pawn structure is very common in this type of neither for Sveshnikov, and I mean, usually black just don't care about d5 square, and they're trying to have some counterplay on c file, or trading a pair of knights and playing f5 at some point. So
Yeah, the other thing is sometimes the knight from f6 leaves to say d7,
Yeah,
and bishop
d7.
g5 is
Yes.
also the idea.
yes,
Okay,
so we'll
so
see
that's-
it maybe a long positional game,
Yeah, once again, no immediate clash in this one.
which is very unlikely for Wei and Jan.
No, well, something. Yeah, when such two players playing each other, I believe
Yeah.
something will happen in this game sooner or later, right? Some, some complications will
Cure.
will appear on the board. So moving on, Grischuk.
Yeah.
Grischuk against Wesley So. Let's find out if one d4 was played. Well, it was.
I should admit that, like as we said, that probably Nakamura Dubov may be the game of the day. We
So
are
we
leaving
are-
it as a cherry on a pie.
Yeah. So we are postponing it for
Yeah.
as long as possible. Visiting Nakamura and Daniel Dubov. So d4 indeed from Grischuk.
Yeah, so he accepted Nonega Prindashvili's proposal, and
d4,
D4
c4, and I'm trying to recall Wesley So's repertoire. He's not the guy who is playing Grunfeld, right? So Grischuk was safe going 1 d4 in
Yes,
this
I think.
regard. Yeah. Wesley is known to play various Queen's Gambits, or I'm not sure about Ragozin. Yeah. So this
Yeah,
time Queen's Gambit, e3, b6, and that's kind of the modern way they play the Queen's Gambit, right?
yeah,
And
so there is
with-
no c5
yeah,
there.
there is always c5, which once again was brought to the highest stage in the World Championship match this year.
Yes,
And,
and also knight bd7, which is maybe
this
the
is,
most solid continuation.
this is
there.
mysterious because knight bd7 it kind of reappeared during the candidates matches in Kazan, this line in 2011,
Yeah,
and then for some reason slowly it practically vanished from the highest level practice, even though nobody showed the refutation, right? I mean, people still from time to time play, make comfortable draw with black.
yeah, we
and
may guess that they just consider this position for black as very passive, and
you mean the line knight d7 c5? This
yes, yeah, I
with
mean,
blo-
like with
blockade, yeah.
extra space for white. Yeah, so
nobody wants to suffer, even though it's
Right.
it's like it's solid, but giving your opponent a chance to play risk-free for another 30-40 moves, it's not to everyone's liking. Okay, b6, c takes, knight takes, queen takes. I believe that's all kind of a theory. Check from a5, knight e2, and bishop a6 castles, c5. Ah, that's interesting. Okay.
yeah, but looks very, very logical.
Knight c4, takes on d4, pawn takes on d4.
Yeah, so pawn takes,
Yeah.
not queen. Or maybe
What was wrong with queen takes?
maybe Grischuk sees something forced after taking with pawn. I mean, like
It's like
probably black may not defend from d5. Yeah, but let's check.
first of all, I suspect it is known to the players. I mean, what's
It might be.
yeah. So what's here? Bishop f6 or yeah, I'm wondering where the knight is going. I mean, maybe bishop f6, by the way. So that after queen e4, I will play knight d7. Yeah, and I'm not sure what else. White
Maybe I
does.
should restrict
queen
it somehow.
d6. Yeah, like this move. Queen d6.
Like maybe there is nothing if you take on b2.
Rook b1 and bishop,
Bishop
a3.
a3.
Yeah, might be just a pawn up.
Yes.
Yeah, weird. The knight will be developed somehow via a6 or something. Yeah, knight a6, and then to c5.
Yeah, so probably
It's once again in such positions, white practically always has enough resources to make a draw,
Yeah,
even
to
even a
place.
pawn down with two bishops. Yeah.
Yeah, so
Anyway.
bishop f6 is probably a refutation.
Yep. Okay, I just thought queen e4, knight d7, and then knight gets to c5. Perhaps still comfortable position for black. The feeling, okay, do we have time of the players? I mean, time spent on each move.
E takes d4 like
E4
1.5 minutes.
1.5 minutes. It doesn't look like he was seriously considering, right? So now after ED4, Wesley So is thinking. Yeah, and I mean, in Grischuk's universe, obviously, I mean, he doesn't play a novelty not spending like 40 minutes on it, right? So that means CD4, it's all prepared, and it's like spending 1 minute or 5 minutes or 10 minutes sometimes. It means Alexander Grischuk is recalling the lines he has prepared. Okay, so what's up now? White has an isolated pawn on d5. On d4, but d5 is always in the air, right?
Yeah, on
d5 is
d4,
always in the air. And black's position, I mean, while solid, it's he's a little bit not in time. I'd say one tempo is missing, because if knight would already go like knight d7 and knight f6 in this position, so like controlling d5, he would be very happy. Knight c6, I suspect d5 is what you have to care about.
Yeah, which is the most principled.
But then rook d8, yeah. I mean, maybe we have to say that if black takes, I mean, for some, let's say, less experienced viewers, so if black takes, queen takes, or what? Yeah, queen takes, bishop takes. Such positions are usually like really bad for black, strangely enough. I mean, you might think, okay, symmetrical structure, my opponent has two bishops, but I don't have any weaknesses, big deal. But these bishops, they will attack, they'll control just all the board in couple of minutes.
Yeah, they will just invade.
So that's usually is very pessimistic scenario for black.
Right.
So that's why we are looking for some ways for black, you know, to not to allow d5 or.
Yes. And this position and simplicity of this position is that you really don't have to calculate a lot of continuations. You just have to put your pieces, put your rooks at the center, and probably trade all of them, and then like
bring the king in.
Yeah,
I mean, usually this is just believe us. It's a very, very hard position for black to defend. If it's defendable, it's very hard to defend.
Yes, rook d8
but rook d8 would be like a real question.
Okay, I'm trying not to be very optimistic, and I'm not considering d takes c6.
Well, I was, but I don't see how to make
I'm trying to force myself to
work.
Calculate normal.
Well, actually, no, but let's take, yeah. Rook d1, rook fd1. No, that's very tricky, in fact, because first I've rejected the whole thing because of queen c5, but there is rook c1.
Yeah.
Rook c1, so that if queen takes, it's bishop. No, bishop d5, you can give the queen back.
Yeah, so that's why
bishop
I was
e2.
wondering. Yeah, but probably there is still nothing like you still can take there,
bishop
and
f3.
after bishop f3, just simply play there.
Take the other bishop.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's clever.
And in this opposite colored bishops,
I
think just the position is in black's favor, probably.
Yeah, bishop takes a8, queen takes f4, black gets the pawn as well.
Yeah.
And then f2 is weak, bishop g6, bishop c5, yeah.
Okay, probably white is still equal, I mean, playing like rook c1 and rook c2, but you do not really pretend to be better. Yeah.
It's only black who's trying, so our queen sack was overly optimistic. But then if we cannot sacrifice the queen after rook fd8, what we are supposed to do? Black is about to take our pawn.
Maybe.
That's a rook c. Yeah.
Maybe there's something like this.
Okay, takes.
No, you take, and before d takes. No, but maybe.
No, before, yeah. That's an exchange, right?
Maybe there's a good compensation for black there.
Takes on d1, fd1, and then knight a5. Yeah, another tricky position. Yes. Well, 2 pawns as of now. if black like has enough time to put the bishop on f6, a pawn on c3, then he's not worse at all. He might be even better.
Yeah. And I'm not sure that I'm in time. Maybe I have to play bishop e5 there, but okay, I mean, looks like the black's compensation for an exchange is it might be enough. I mean, at least to equalize. So a3, e takes d5. I mean, probably there might be something else.
Queen c5.
Yeah, but queen c5, I had
the rook c1.
slight
Yeah,
idea that I have something like
c5
bishop
is bad.
h6
Yes, no,
there.
but bishop d3 I think as well. You just win the knight on c3.
Yeah, this one is like
no, you don't win.
Queen d4, bishop. Queen d4, bishop e3, queen f6.
I just thought it's that simple. You go to d3 and yeah, queen d4, and I keep forgetting the fact that the queen is protected. Yeah.
Maybe there is something like this one.
Bishop c7. Finally, yeah,
yes,
winning material. Yeah, so black set up. Yeah, the moment I realized that after black takes on d5 and you can move the bishop, I suspect, yeah, well, we found one line, and this one is like really, really good for white. But in general, like this structure, if queen is getting stuck on a5, white has decent compensation, like possibly, like, you know, going for a kingside threats. So this might be the way to play for white. You go d5, he pins you, and then even if this like a3 doesn't give you anything concrete, you just leave the pawn there, let black take, and then play for an initiative.
Yeah, right. So it was our first like initial investigation, but it may be correct.
And once again, we don't know if knight c6 is the move Wojtaszek So will play, right?
Yeah. So now he's thinking, and probably.
Does he have like? Okay, he has an option of playing queen f5 for
or knight d7.
Or knight d7, yeah, but then I wasn't sure. I mean, what? How do you react to
like
d5 anyway?
e5 and d6 probably, yes.
So you mean
I saw that this is the main idea.
This line, so that if bishop leaves,
because otherwise I'll play bishop d6. Okay, I may be slightly worse because of c6 square, but
yeah, that will be very complex. We can show as well this structure. Bishop goes to, say, e3, whatever.
E3, yeah.
And black blocks the passed pawn with bishop d6.
Yeah. And also, I think, as we know, that it is a good sign for black if they can trade the pair of bishops. Yeah, maybe they can start with bishop c5.
Another option, yeah. So, structure-wise, anyway, even if black simply blocks the pawn, like goes bishop d6, yeah. Another interesting observation. So these structures, they are typical. You can have it from different, let's say, games. And apart from the pawn structure, you have to look at the pieces which are on the board. And it usually it really helps white if he has a knight in such position. So add another pair of knights, like white knight on c3, black knight on f6. Then white always has ideas of knight b5 and if the knight
bishop
from
b5,
f6.
bishop c6. Yes.
Yeah. So there are always ideas. And being as it is, somehow black seems to be very solid, yeah. And bishop c5, your other move instead of bishop d6 is probably even better.
Okay, but bishop c5 is connected with some forced variations. I mean, after d6.
D6 anyway. Yeah.
Still, maybe I'm optimistic. Yeah, you can just take on queen c5, and
takes queen.
It's very unclear.
Well, it is.
If I'm not blundering bishop f7 there.
Bishop f7.
Which can be true, and just take queen e3. Yeah. I mean, just rook f2 at least, or king h1, king f7, queen d5. I mean, this one.
Bishop f7, rook f7,
yes,
rook f7.
And this one is impossible.
So the main point is that black cannot capture on f7 in this position because of queen f3 check, and the rook is gone from a8.
So it was all position like a few moves before, but now.
Well, in general, it doesn't feel right for black to give white this pawn on d5. Can he start with rook d8?
Yes,
so
that's
to stop. No, he did play knight c6. He did play.
Yes,
he
just play knight c6
and then we do expect d5, right? Because for white it doesn't make sense to wait with this move. Black is getting perfectly ready to
I mean, like if it would be black to move, they'll just play rook
d8 and the pawn is gone,
and they're just better. Yeah, so d5 is probably the move that you can make in a few seconds, just evaluating the possible perspectives if we do know this.
Yeah, so he'll probably do he'll probably play d5 and then we'll see what Wesley So's reaction is gonna be.
And then we will see our miscalculations.
Yeah, well, he'll play d5. Wesley So's going to take and then easily save the position which we claim to be really bad.
That would be a shame for us.
And we have one more game which we hope to be and expect to be really exciting, at least before the start of the round. So let's go there. So it's the game between Nakamura and Dubov we are talking about.
Wow.
Let's go there. Let's see what happens. That's the current position. Once again, Hikaru Nakamura with white against Daniil Dubov. Is it Tarrasch defense? Not quite, yeah?
Yeah, it came from English opening.
G3, E6, Knight F3,
Yes,
D5.
but it's transposed to Tarrasch, really.
Yeah, that's like pure Tarrasch defense. Knight C6, Bishop G2, takes. Okay, not sure of this one. It's one of the lines, perhaps. CD4, Bishop C5.
Yeah, I saw that Bishop E7 is the main move. It's like probably.
Yeah, well, there is also this line where Black doesn't take on D4, right? For I mean, like here,
like starting with
you can play Bishop E7. No, it's Black to move, right? Bishop E7, castles, and
there is a Bishop G5 and like Karpov's Bishop E3 probably there. Or also take on C5, Bishop C5,
takes Bishop
and
G5.
A3 or
This
Bishop
is
D5,
also another line, yeah. All right, so in our game, CD4, Knight D4, Bishop C5.
Which is also very uncommon. I saw that Bishop E7 probably is
yeah, I think Bishop E7 looks like the main move. But Daniil,
he has I mean, like sometimes he has new ideas, or sometimes he somehow refreshes the old ideas which were considered as not working and not good, but he makes chess look very, very fashionable and new.
Okay, so after Bishop C5. Knight B3 looks logical, tempting. Move with the tempo. Bishop B6. 6 minutes spent on castle short because D5 pawn was on offer, by the way. That's why Bishop C5 is not very popular move.
Yeah, let's see how many minutes has Daniel spent. I mean, for all game.
Till that moment, he
like
barely used any
like
time.
Yeah.
Seconds.
38 seconds.
38 seconds for Bishop B6. Yeah.
And then 7 seconds for D4 there. Knight A4, castle, Bishop G5, Rook E6. Rook E8, 26 seconds.
Still in the book.
Yeah.
Knight takes, pawn takes.
So no new moves for Daniel.
Knight takes,
up
pawn
to now.
takes. E3 and D3.
8 seconds.
Yeah, obviously, because anything else doesn't make sense, I believe. I mean, you don't want to take on E3 because you give your opponent once again the option to swap the queens and
again, like
leave himself
play against a pair of bishops, which is in this pawn structure can be just a suicide.
Okay, now white can capture on F6, and black will have to decide then. What does he do? I mean, I don't think he can allow himself to take with G pawn. He probably will have to take and take on B2, or who knows?
Yes, but yeah, if I take with
G
pawn, probably the most principle for white is to, I mean, to play Queen H5, not to allow playing Bishop F5. Yeah, so Bishop F6 is
we
played
might
by
see it.
Hikaru.
Yeah,
because otherwise I'll just play Bishop F5, play Bishop G6, and I don't feel the.
Yeah, it's like the king is safe. Yeah, I mean, why did we start it all that? Why Hikaru took on F6? Because white has a lot of good factors in his position, but he's got a very serious problem, which is black's pawn on D3. Right, so by doing this, we are trying to push the black towards, like, you know, the direction like you take with the queen, and then I'll take your pawn, and maybe you'll be slightly worse. And black doesn't accept to be slightly worse. He says, "Yeah, I'm ready to play this picturesque-looking position with how many? Okay, all the pawns that are on the board are weak for black.
Yeah, with 2 doubled pawns.
4
doubled pawns.
Pawn on D3, pawn on H7. Yeah, so everything isolated, like a lot of weaknesses. So playing for initiative, playing for actually betting on the D3 pawn. Right.
Yeah, but personally, I don't see a move that can lead to advantage for white, because if I play queen h5, aimed against the ideas that I mentioned before, I think black can easily react with rook e5. I mean,
Queen
so just gaining a
H6,
tempo.
let's say?
Okay, if I just simply do the same.
Ah, you still want the bishop on f5, yeah? That's
And this rook maybe can enter the game
rook
playing
a4.
rook a4
Yeah, I was looking at it. Yeah, rook a4
at some point. So it's not so clear. I mean,
okay, let's put it this way: with such a lot of weak pawns, I don't really think that black can win. You know, I mean, it's like, yeah, obviously if white makes mistakes, black can win.
Yes.
But the thing is, like, usually in such situations, there should be a path for white to, you know, for example, I'm going to simplify, take the d3 pawn, and will end up being pawned down. But thanks to the fact that black has, I mean, somehow I will, I don't know, in some position we'll find a way, like go knight d4, for instance, trades, and then take the pawn.
yeah, I asked the
on
same
d3.
question for myself, but
So far I don't see it, yeah?
currently knight d4 is not working for white.
Knight d4 is not working.
Knight c1 is not working. Okay, maybe I can just
Wait,
start with queen d2, but
the other version, what does my knight on b3 do? Maybe I don't need to win the pawn immediately, maybe I just have to regroup
Like
somehow just
a3?
to put it, yeah, to go a3, to put the knight on d2. Something like that. You know,
But
rook c1. Yeah, it's like I'm accepting the fact that I will be playing this position on, not eliminating the pawn on d3, which is somewhat dangerous. But on the other hand, yeah, black, as of now, doesn't really have plans of, let's say, pawn breaks, because the pawn's structure is so crumpled. It's like, okay, you can have bishop f5 if you want, rook c1, for instance.
Okay, should I admit that bishop c6 is probably working, but it's not the move that you really want to make.
Bishop c6, knight d4? Or?
Yes, but knight d4, I think I can start with bishop e4, provoking for f3, or there's something like queen g4 check.
Wait, you can go bishop h3 if you like.
Yes.
And there is, well, if I'm not mistaken, there isn't an exchange second. Yeah, at first I thought, like, okay, white takes on d3, but there is c5.
Yeah.
There is c5, so black obviously not taking the rook, but instead just wins the piece with c5. No, he has to play slowly, I believe, like rook to c1, then maybe rook to c3, knight d2, you know. So first, making sure that the pawn, okay,
Yeah, like surrounding the pawn.
yeah, we are not able to take the pawn immediately, so let's block it and then somehow maybe simplify the position. And
now probably something like rook c6, even a threat,
once again,
if I'm not mistaken.
that's like rook takes, pawn takes, bishop takes.
And bishop e4, and it's still
Yeah, once again, somehow the bishop on g2 is nice.
Yes, a3 is played by
The bishop on g2 is nice. I'm not sure if I want to, let's say, to exchange my bishop from g2, even winning a pawn.
So let's see how many seconds will Daniel spend to his next move.
I
I bet on less than 10.
a3 should be known. Should be known.
Bishop f5.
If the whole plan is bishop f5, we don't know. Yeah, bishop
bishop
e6.
e6.
See? Bishop e6.
So black's idea is to eliminate this blocking knight probably, and then just to triple or double on d file.
And push the pawn forward.
Yeah, or just leave it on d3.
Yeah, wait. The other thing could be that he's gonna play bishop d5. For instance, knight d2. I was gonna play knight d2 anyway, so
Yeah, but maybe I can start with rook c1. I mean, like,
starting with rook c1.
I'm not sure that I really want to take in this exact position on b3.
Yeah, no, you are not taking on b3, I believe. c1. I don't know.
Like maybe queen d6 now, and
I can smell a bit of a bluff, to be honest, from bluff in this
From
position. Yeah,
like rook c3 or
rook c3, right? Rook d8. Ah, so just to protect everything.
Yeah, so knight d4 is not working still.
Knight d4 doesn't work. And white doesn't work, we can show. Knight d4, black takes, and if white takes on d3, yeah, knight f3, or knight e2 in this case, yeah.
Knight e2 is more solid.
Knight e2. Yeah, otherwise white would win the knight back and be better, simply.
So
Yeah, so
bishop e6.
bishop e6. I mean, one of the ideas could be that you just go bishop, especially if the knight leaves to d2, that you go bishop d5, and if white takes, you take with the queen, then put the knight on e5.
Right.
It's weird, because I just said a minute ago that white wants to simplify. Depends, of course, on what you are exchanging, right? So if you exchange like all the stuff, leave a pair of knights, then I believe this d3 pawn is not going anywhere. White puts the knight on d2 and then comes with the king and probably might be even winning. But this will not happen.
There we
The
can
will
see some
control.
lack of space for white. I mean, because of this post pawn, black have some squares to
So one more version.
develop.
One more version. What white, alternatively, what white can do?
Yes, but the two main moves are rook c1 and knight d2.
Rook
I mean,
c1, knight d2. Yeah, can't think of.
in others, I don't see any sense.
Can't think of much more.
So rook c1, for example, because bishop b3 is not really a threat.
I like your queen d6. Queen d6, yeah. Yeah, and something like that will happen, in fact, like rook c3, rook d8, white will finally...
And maybe now I can play
Now
knight
you
d2,
start with knight
because
d2,
there is
okay.
some probably extra tempos.
And let's say even with a loss of a tempo, I go bishop d5. Why loss of a tempo? Because I just played queen d6 and now I'll take on d5.
I thought I have this
Check.
kind of idea.
King moves. h8, let's say.
And you know, like I wanted to play queen e4, but then I realized that you can take and rook g8.
Takes, yeah, rook g8.
And this can be a bit
f3 though. f3, king f2. This is...
Isn't it an unpleasant position for white?
I'm not sure. I mean, it's very concrete, I believe, because white will have king f2 and then put the
E4
bishop on
and
f1, you know.
Yeah.
Rook f to d1, bishop on f1, and it's...
So this
Once
may be
again.
not so bad idea as I thought. Yeah, but I think that
queen f4,
the white
you mean forces
yeah,
the
forces the
queen's
endgame.
trade.
yeah, because if we trade the queens, then we trade the bishops. The knight is blocking the pawn. Then I'm doubling on c file,
Yeah.
and my knights, my king barely, slowly moves to the center. And I think that black have too many weaknesses in their camp.
Yeah, that's the general feeling. Like black has too many weaknesses. Black has many weaknesses. The other factor is that black's knight on c6 is like not really joining the action. It's like you'd like to have a square on d4 or say b4 or c2 something.
Yeah. So up to now, the only joker in black's position is the g3 pawn. I mean.
By the way, we have too many double pawns. Let's maybe try to undouble something.
But how b5?
Why did did we play queen d6? Because
Instead
we
of-
liked it for some reason, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, b5 here doesn't make all that much sense. The knight will jump to c5,
Yes.
yeah? So queen d6 was kind of clever. Then the knight goes to d2 and there are some knight e4 threats. Knight e2.
Yeah, like knight d2. Maybe I can start with even ugly
So
f5.
we'll
or-
just play f5.
Yeah.
Okay. White plays what we said, rook c3.
Queen h5. I like. Or rook c3, as you wish.
Yeah, it's whatever. It's, you know, in terms of long-term plans, we can say that, yeah, white will try to surround the d3 pawn.
I believe that the game may end just like
Like this and then some
yeah,
perpetual.
yeah. Why not?
Yeah, it depends. I mean, once again, we don't know the evaluation, right? And I'm not sure if Nakamura knows the evaluation.
Yes.
But the feeling is that Dubov knows. You know, so then
And he may be bluffing.
if such thing occurs that white has white will play queen h5, let's say threatening perpetual check, then Dubov, from Dubov's reaction, if he will allow
yes, but
perpetual,
maybe let's start from the point that at least white can make a draw almost anyhow.
There. Yeah, once again, it's like not forcing draw. But
Yes,
but again,
a lot of ways to equalize.
that's what we said. So with so many weaknesses, yeah, white normally has a way or two to just simplify and as I said, maybe possibly somewhere dropping a pawn, but then it won't be possible to win for black. Because the king's safety is very important, strangely enough. In such positions where your opponent has, let's say, a pawn on d3 with a lot of pieces, right? The pawn will not promote.
Obviously.
Normally, with like 3 heavy pieces controlling d1, the pawn will not promote.
And with this pawn structure.
Yeah, but it takes attention of your pieces, right? So you will have to keep the knight on d2 blocking the pawn and everything. And usually in positions like that, the fact that your piece is tied down to the passed pawn allows your opponent to, to redirect his forces towards your king. But now white king on g1 is really, really solid. Even the semi-open g file so far doesn't look like black will create some stuff on g file, right? Daniel plays rook c8, and once again I don't think he spent all that much time.
Almost immediately. I can refresh the board just to know how many seconds he spent for playing rook c8. 8 seconds.
8 seconds. Barely spends any time. So what happens now after? Rook c3, black as well might have knight e5, yeah?
Yeah.
Another thing.
Yes, but it's a little bit unclear because at rook c3, knight e5, maybe now you give me a chance to play knight e4. And there I'll feel much more comfortable.
Once again,
like d4 probably is
this is weird, like after knight d4, look, if white...
You just take and play bishop c4?
Take on c3, takes and... I don't know.
So the question is if f4 is really a threat.
It's like knight on d4 makes white feel safe to a certain degree, right? So it's like the d pawn will no longer be that dangerous. But at the same time, even if white, let's say, snatches on b7, so black goes bishop c4 and white takes on b7. Yeah? It's black to move here, so bishop c4, bishop b7. It's hard to say if white immediately becomes better or much better. Yeah, the d3 pawn is still alive.
Yes, but I mean, like in very
queen
few
h5
moves, they'll play queen d2, rook b1, and surround it somehow, or queen h5. So
okay, hard to say.
I'd prefer white's position.
Wait a sec. So does it mean Nakamura has spent? Yeah, but looks like Nakamura has spent all the time that was spent by the players in this game. Yeah. Yeah. So Daniil Dubov is still on 1 hour 30 something. Yeah. 32. Which makes it even more interesting. Rook is still on c1. Hikaru Nakamura is thinking, and let's move. Well, I wanted to say move on, but let's move back to the game where we started it all from. Peter Svidler against Radoslav Wojtaszek. And it becomes sort of a pattern that usually in modern chess, the player with black pieces is better prepared. I mean, it's much more often you see it, right? Because with white, you want to get some play, you want to get some original position. And the perimeter for black is the perimeter you have to hold with white. It's like you prepare 1 d4, for instance, and your opponent can play Naidov, Grunfeld, Nimzo, this, that, and you don't know what to expect.
Yes, but I think that most of like top players or just professionals are convinced in the fact that white might have some advantage from the opening, and they're trying to, to learn all perimeter to... they want to prove that white have an advantage in every single opening, and that's why they have to spend more time proving that than black just playing a good opening for
I don't know.
themselves.
I've heard from people the opposite opinion. So that black as of now, let's say the opening stays very good for black, like,
Yes, but
and then in order just to get something.
yeah, I
order
mean, just a new idea.
for the game not to be like dried out from the start. Once again, it depends on the opening. Like if your opponent plays the King's Indian, then that's kind of a good sign that at least you'll have the game. Yeah, but if it's like some Queen's Gambit accepted, for example, and what can happen to you? It will be 25 moves of theory. You
Yes.
get in the end some position which is evaluated like 0.20 for white, and you and your opponent, you both know that this is impossible to win.
Right.
So sometimes something like that can happen. Okay, in our game, at least, we have every single unit on the board. So not a single pair of pawns being exchanged. Bishop b1, your move, was played. We were looking at this
Peter
position
spent 7
here.
minutes.
Peter went
on
bishop
it.
b1, but yeah, it turns out it doesn't make all that much of a difference, because later on he went d4, and later on the bishop returns back to d3. Queen b7.
Yeah, so the question is, if white can play e5 there immediately, so we should consider d takes e5 as a principled? Like take and probably bishop f3 there.
Bishop f3, maybe that's the whole thing.
If we're not blundering anything.
No, like if
Like
queen takes
takes
knight e5, that's
Yeah.
seems to be no. Oh wait,
Like,
Good.
no, it's not working.
queen g3,
Bishop d6,
bishop d6, yeah, and bishop f4 there is knight f3, yeah.
or knight f3, or knight c4 probably.
Knight c4 could be as well, yeah.
Yeah, so that's why Peter played bishop
Okay, I
d3.
mean he can. Sometimes they take with the pawn in this line. I mean, like e5, yeah. One more
Yeah.
time. Our move e5, d takes, bishop f3, g f3, which leads to
Yeah.
really complex position where obviously white doubling the pawns. He keeps the pawn on
should I
e5
play
alive.
play
Yeah,
knight
knight
d5?
d5, yeah, for instance, and I don't know what that, like f4 or something. I mean, I just mean just want to mention this one as an option.
Yes.
Not
It
claiming
remains
that
complicated
it's
after
any
g6,
good, yeah,
and
like
it's just
G6
playable
something.
probably.
Right, but Peter wants to keep it all flexible, so bishop to d3, bishop a4 I suspect is
Was not
Not-
considered by both
yeah,
of players.
queen b7,
Yeah, but by the way, maybe we
bishop
should
a4, I believe bishop
explain
a6,
why bishop
yeah?
a4, yeah. Bishop a6 or
Yeah.
maybe e5 there. I mean,
Yeah, e5 is actually strong, yeah, e5
and something
to do?
will happen.
it's like you cannot take on e5 at all.
Yeah, because
D
queen
takes, D
e4 at the
takes,
end,
yeah,
yes.
that's a nice little double attack. Queen d5, attacking the bishop on a4 and the pawn on h7. So you have to move the knight immediately to d5. Then one more time, how do you reject bishop takes a4 with black? You think after this, white can take on a6 if he wants, but
Yes.
possibly he has something better.
More, yeah.
So why would I enter this position? Yeah, something better might as well be bishop g5, and knight bishop h7. I don't know if it works.
There's a lot of opportunities for white. I
Yeah.
was also considering e takes d6, because black have to take with the bishop.
Mhm.
Otherwise, maybe I have 100 of extra tempos in this position. Maybe knight e5 just
yeah, maybe
killing
just
immediately,
winning,
or something like this. So,
yeah. So bishop takes, and then knight c4.
or maybe bishop g5 is.
I mean, I don't know if it works. Bishop g5, bishop takes g5. We can take with the knight simply.
Yes, you
Because
mean like
first I thought about this sacrifice, like bishop takes h7 after bishop g5.
yeah.
But it probably doesn't work. But this h6, queen e4.
Maybe we can start with this one again.
And to go to e4. Yeah.
I mean, like, and this one. No,
yeah.
I mean just gaining.
Lot of tamping.
Yeah. I mean, it
Okay,
it
bishop
may be
a4
something.
is extremely risky, or rather
Yes.
was extremely risky, because this pawn was not taken. So queen b7 was played. Bishop went to g5. h6, bishop h4. Bishop h4 is on the board, and Wojtaszek is thinking. By the way, last move h6 took him 7 minutes and 40 seconds to make. So from now on, Radoslav Wojtaszek, being an opening specialist as he is, still is on his own. That's clear. I mean, I don't really think he was analyzing this position.
Yeah, probably. Maybe
well,
because of the fact that in this exact opening there is a lot of transpositions and a lot of different move orders, but still the position remains almost the same, but with a little adjustments.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like let's say in terms of plans, in terms of a structure, that's of course well known, but you know, with a bit of a twist, let's say.
Yeah.
C takes d4, played. Now, perhaps
knight.
Knight, you think?
No, I mean
knight
just
takes, then he's gonna take a4.
I would take with pawn, but at least I would just spend a few minutes to understand if knight d4 is such a bad move in this position. It may be not, I mean.
Knight d4, okay, bishop a4 is my main concern. Otherwise, I'm fine with knight d4. Bishop a4, and so far I don't see how white is getting the pawn back.
Right.
It's like you can play b3, take on c6, take on a6, but then c3 pawn is hanging.
Yeah.
No, he probably shouldn't. He probably shouldn't. No, and anyway, c takes d4 seems to be the most logical move. And then once again, principal line would be to take the pawn on a4, but then white once again can go e5. Seems to be pretty sharp, actually.
Seems to be pretty dangerous for black.
You can't, once again, still you cannot take on e5, right?
Yeah, with the same idea, but
same thing. Knight d5.
Knight d5, and there's a lot of
tricks this way.
Yeah, very delicious opportunities.
Wait,
first,
wait,
yeah,
queen
first of all, yeah,
e4.
we're winning just
Yeah,
immediately,
there is
right?
there are no tricks.
Yeah, maybe f5, but no, but f5 I just take and
on pawn.
yeah, we're just crushing. Yeah, so the point
okay,
that
so
after g6 is
g6, bishop e7, and there is a pin. Yeah, black cannot take back on e7.
Yes, but what to do?
What else? What else?
Because probably g5 is a threat in some positions. Or maybe I just simply I'm going to play b3 next.
Yeah.
And we'll see what
look,
black is going to do.
rook e8 might be the moves then.
f e8, I guess.
Yeah, rook f to e8. To defend the bishop, well, in some positions the fact that the king has f8 square might be useful, or the knight has the f8 square, because one of the maneuvers would be knight d7
knight
to f6, and then knight
to g6.
To f8, yeah, and then knight to g6. The rook e8 would be typical, but then, you know, the position of knight on a3 is perfectly justified, because now white, if he wants, he can go e5, or to start with knight c4, or just to go e4. Yeah, maybe start,
I'm
start with knight c4.
I'm preventing black idea to play knight e8 because of this one.
Takes, yeah.
Probably black can take with pawn, but I think after d5
yeah, here you go d5, you have happily.
Yeah,
d5,
positionally it may be lost for black. Yes.
Yeah, these are usually very, very dangerous for black.
Yeah, so we start with knight c4, and then
you want to play e5.
Black has some lack of moves, really.
d5?
Yeah, d5, but maybe
d5? That might be why I wanted to go d e5.
Yes, you're right. Probably
first.
d5,
yeah,
and
d5.
we receive the good pawn structure there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or maybe knight c2. Or e5 immediately.
Yeah, that's like the most direct approach is to go, of course, to go e5, and then
a lot of black. I mean, starting from bishop f3.
3.
Probably pawn takes.
Yeah, most likely pawn takes. He goes knight d5. I no longer like it for white.
Yes, because at this position, the bishop is protected with the rook, and they can just simply take with the rook, and probably after e takes d6 just start. Maybe no. This is a bit unclear.
Yeah, but wait a sec. Here, after queen e4, black could take the bishop. This queen h7 is not such a big threat. Queen h4, yeah, like this. Just take on h4.
Ah, yes, you're right. But what about
Takes
check and e takes d6?
knight f6.
Yes, and
d7 to f6 to be precise. Check, knight g8, bishop h7. The
Yeah.
other knight to f6.
it is. This one is very funny.
Bishop h7, the other knight to f6. And actually it wouldn't be bad for white if he would be able to attack the f6 knight with
yes,
something. Ah, no, knight h7. Even this is...
So they have a threat
yeah,
now.
that's pointless. That's absolutely pointless. Yes, and maybe no straightforward way. Maybe no straightforward way. Maybe I no longer like my e5.
You know, like, by the way, I can start with, I mean, after bishop h4, I can start with this one. But at least you can take on f2 and play knight d7, f6, and it may be just worse for white.
Knight f6 immediately as
Yeah, well, knight f6,
well.
I wanted to
Yeah,
gain a pawn, yeah.
that's a better version.
Yes, you're right, and
Yeah, so why am I in such a hurry to play e5 on the other hand? I just completely forgotten about this bishop f3 idea. Then maybe knight c2, indeed. As we decided to keep the center kind of flexible for
Yeah.
as long as possible. Maybe knight
and maybe now we have some ideas connected with knight b4 also.
Yeah, by the way. So let's one more time say that black only wants to play d5 if e5 is not the reaction.
Yeah.
Right? Same goes for e5. I mean, in this particular position, you don't want to play e5 because you lose the bishop. But even on the previous move, can we go one move back? It's like, for instance, black plays e5, d5, and takes the pawn. Usually, once again, it would be very dangerous, right? Or not here.
Yes, but
I would still say that
the center is very clear.
white
and
should be, white should be like.
yeah, so we are
in a-
fixing the pawn structure in the center, not allowing white very, I mean, active possibilities. So that's why e5, at least it seems very
maybe we are
logical.
not taking, yeah. Maybe we are
Yeah,
not
maybe
taking.
we just can
Knight
pass
c4
and play in
now.
place
Now
of
knight
knight
c4,
c4.
so that there is no d5.
So yeah, if there is no tactics, I mean, just it may be worse for black because we gave up an f5 square also.
The whole thing looks worse then, and I'm wondering what, first of all, what was Wojtaszek's, say, opening. I cannot say preparation, but anyway, looks like Peter's idea, or rather Peter's concept of not giving Radoslav Wojtaszek anything concrete, like not giving him the possibility of equalizing, or rather getting the play from the opening immediately, but forcing him into maneuvering stage where, like experience counts for something,
Yeah.
was a wise decision right from the start. So to go for this line with a check, and then, to keep maneuvering. We, of course, do not know how the game is going to progress. I'm not yet sure that white is like better, much better, something, but the goal achieved. He's
Yeah.
getting the play, and
And,
then
Peter is pressing, obviously.
right. Let's move on. Let's see something else. Wei Nepomniachtchi, the other line from Sicilian.
And now the position is full of life.
It's getting more and more similar to like normal Sicilian knight of positions, right? Still, usually white has the light square bishop. This we had seen, right? Bishop e7, a5, bishop d2, and then he went knight d5, yeah?
Yes.
Takes, bishop g4, and this would have been kind of good for black if
Not
he has
really
the
sure.
time, right?
Not
I
really
mean,
sure.
it would be good for black if he has the time. If let's say if he is able to build his usual thing with f5 and
Yeah.
but it's really tricky.
I mean, at least White can take on g4 and they'll be like maybe slightly better because of the pawn structure.
Yeah, this a5 is very important.
Yeah.
A5, d5.
Yeah, but personally, I don't like the coordination of black's pieces. I mean, like, if you're forced to play bishop g4 at this exact moment, it's not a good sign. It seems to me. So that's why I think Wei's reaction to play f4 was completely understandable and very, very natural.
Okay, what black has to do now?
I don't know, maybe bishop f6 back?
If the bishop on g4 survives, because f5 is the problem.
Yes.
I think
Yeah,
f5 is the
you're
big
right.
problem.
Maybe I still can play something like e4.
Yeah,
Maybe.
bishop f6, f5, e4, okay, queen takes.
Yes, but you know, like, there is a lot of...
Bishop e2.
Yeah, but maybe there is still... No, knight g4, I just didn't take with bishop. Not...
So
Oh,
that's the
anything.
trick. That's the trick. Because this would be very typical, by the way. Because it's like in many such positions,
Yeah, so
you feel
yeah.
like black is almost lost, but with some tactic he's kind of keeping the balance.
Yeah, but rook f2, I mean, it's still forced and we should have a mathematical solution of this problem. I mean, for both colors.
Queen b5.
Or maybe we can start with
Rook
this
e8. Yeah, rook e8 is
Adding
always
rook e8.
nice. And now I feel like white will, drop something. Queen a4 allows bishop b5, yeah? And
Yeah,
then you go queen b4.
one. Yeah, but I think
maybe you
the
could
black has some compensation there.
Yeah,
I mean,
black obviously has the compensation. No, I was worried about the bishop on e2. I don't care about giving the pawn because so many open files and the bishops are quite strong.
yeah, maybe I can take on a4 and then play bishop b5. Yeah.
and
then
yeah,
bishop
this
d4.
should be fine for black.
And some,
Strangely, like takes,
Yeah,
takes.
maybe I should
Bishop
control the
b5.
fourth rank, playing something like weird, but maybe necessary. Rook b4.
Yeah, but then black goes bishop g5, I thought.
Yeah, bishop g5 or bishop d8. I mean, there is a lot of squares.
Bishop d8 attacking a5 again. Yeah, no, this is fine. This is fine for black. But yeah,
Yeah,
just
but frankly speaking, I totally forgot about FIDE, so that's why I've tried to perform as an actor and said that e4 was
here
my
we
plan.
have
Yeah.
e4, yeah. No, but wait. But yeah, this seems to work, but still like on the ropes, and like kind of normal move would be to take on f4. Yep.
Yep.
So e4, rook takes, and the bishop goes to h5, later on to g6. And what about that position? So here
I think just not bad. Maybe this is the... He
takes,
just takes
yeah,
on
he
f4.
takes on f4. Rook, I suspect rook f4 will happen.
Or maybe
He
take on g4 first.
Yeah, maybe that's our moment to eliminate the bishop. Yeah.
Is that the point? And you know, like after rook f4, the point is probably black can play there.
Bishop g5 was
But yeah.
That's also tricky because I can take g4.
Like, and something like knight
Bishop
f6.
f4. Well, first of all, there is queen h3, but you have f5.
Wow.
Yeah. Bishop f4. Yeah. I mean, queen h3 would be a tactical idea, so that discover check
Yes.
is threatening. I'm protecting the knight. I'm threatening knight f6, and then taking on f4. But black has f5.
Yeah, probably f5 is an all.
Black has f5. But what I'm not convinced about, that white is worse after knight f6 check. Bishop takes f4, knight f6 check, you have to take, and then bishop f4. It's like it's complex position still.
Yes, it is, but maybe... I mean, just now it's totally mathematical. I mean, just maybe there is something forced after queen g4, so you have a choice between taking on d6 or h6, and then like I'm playing rook f8 and probably have
And
some
trying to
very
get to
strong
E2,
counterplay. Yeah. Yes, but it's still very unclear. I mean, probably you can just simply play g3 or rook f1, having a very good compensation.
Rook f1, yeah, that's what I thought. It's like not trying to attack immediately or take some pawns immediately, but positionally it seems to be like
Yeah,
very good
and now I'm
compensation for white.
rethinking, and now I think that probably white can pretend for more than for equality.
Yeah, the original plan was to actually to try to play this position for a win. Anyway, so knight takes. Yeah, but once again, why do we always go for like tactical stuff? Yeah, rook f4. Again, bishop h5 if he's trying to be like simple, and then to g6. Again, I'm not sure about all those positions. Like, I'm not an expert in knight of. Because to me, knight f5 would be looking threatening, but maybe for some people, like, so the fact that white can put this knight on f5 and it stays there.
Yes, but it eliminates very soon. I mean, after bishop g6, or at least neutralizes.
Or should I start with? That's another possibility. If we start with bishop to c3, it could be. Yeah, just to take this diagonal. I'm a bit worried about black playing bishop f6.
Yes, but what about bishop g5?
g5? Yeah. Rook f2, rook e8 again. Yeah.
He takes on g4.
Yeah, he takes
very,
on g4.
very safely.
He takes on g4. So the worry was what was the problem? Oh, here there wasn't any problem.
Yes, but I didn't see
here there
any,
wasn't any problem. Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, like, okay, we have a pawn on a5, but
no, just so this exchange sacrifice, but that was in fact rook takes f4 line. Yeah, takes bishop f4, I guess,
or rook. I mean, with an idea to play rook b4 at some point. I mean, just probably like I'm forcing you to play queen d7, because otherwise
which
I'll
I
have
might be fine with. Yes, queen d7. Ah, and you want to put it on c3, or how do we? Yeah, that's the question. What black? Sorry, what rather what white wants from the structure? How white wants the structure on the queen side to look like? Because like you can say literally anything and it will make some point. I mean, you want the pawn on c4, b4. Yes, that's right. Yes, you want the pawn on c3 so that the bishop on f6 is not pressing. Yes. That's another option. So that.
To be honest, I just don't know what to do really there with white. I mean,
to me,
how to play for the win.
To me, to be honest, bishop f4 looked a bit more natural. Yeah. Because the
so
fact that this d6 pawn is attacked makes it, queen most likely will go back anyway. But then queen g3 or
no, c2 is hanging. Yeah, I mean just. Yeah, like queen g3, which is most principled.
Yeah, it's like c2. I take h6.
Yeah. Okay,
that's the problem.
So I can follow up with f5.
Bishop h6. Yeah. Yeah, f5 is there. I'm not happy
probably,
that not happy that I've taken on h6.
Yeah. And if you take on d6, I just simply play rook e8, and it's probably black is just better because of rook e2 is coming.
Yeah, there was also some bishop h4 tactic, but yeah, you probably don't need it. Yeah, just go rook e8. So got to be careful. So far, the f pawn is not even taken. Well, it will be.
Maybe there is another opportunity instead of those two.
It's like, okay, I mean, you can pretend to be like smart and play, say, rook to a4.
Yeah.
To take with that rook and then push b4, c4, and.
I mean, like to provoke black to play g5 there, really.
Yeah, well, technically g5 is possible, but looks risky, or not really.
I don't know. No, but maybe it's risky still. I mean, like bishop c3 and. Probably queen d4 is not even a threat, but if you face this kind of bishop with this pawn structure, you will be always worried about. So yeah, probably rook a4, but we'll see.
No, I think still he's gonna take and.
Yeah, so
let's put it this way: the fact that Jan went for this position, and I believe relatively quickly. And he, as the knight of player, he understands, I mean, those structures and everything. So I suspect that the position is fine for black.
Looks like.
Even though, yeah, from if you want my uninformed opinion, I would say that White. It looks like White achieved something after, say, Bishop F4, but who knows? These knights, they are tricky.
So we're
Anything
moving
else?
to
Grischuk against Wesley So to see how those two bishops going to perform. Because yes, we did get to the position which we claimed to be really, really good for White. And yeah, Alexander really went for it, and Wesley So, to my surprise, he accepted this. Rook a to d1, rook f to d8.
Yeah, so I'm trying to follow up with time spent by Wesley, starting from knight c6.
Yeah, knight c6. He has spent
14 minutes.
Yeah, 14 minutes. Then after d5, obviously you do not. Well, actually, we were looking at rook to d8 as an alternative.
Yep.
Right. Here. No. I mean,
after
knight c6, d5. Right. Yeah, I just realized that after d5 he just just snapped on d5 immediately.
Yeah. And we concluded that after a3 there.
Yeah, a3 or something that White might have a dangerous initiative.
Yeah.
Yeah, just trying to to justify the time management by Wesley. So I suspect that when playing knight c6, he has already decided that if d5 happens, I'm taking d5.
Right.
Because, yeah, let's be honest, White didn't have all that much of an alternative, right? Instead of d5, even though Grischuk spent 4 minutes.
Yeah, I'm starting to rethink, and now maybe we just missed something like b5 there.
No, we didn't. We just didn't consider it.
Okay, now it doesn't matter, but still, I'm just curious about this one. Maybe this is a way how to equalize after d5. But
b5, yeah. Okay, bishop d3, right? You take on d5. Yeah, I thought d3 actually. You can go to b3 and take on d5.
Yeah, but you have something like b4 there. Do you?
Takes, bishop takes, b4. Yes.
Yeah, so this one is crazy. I mean, instead of bishop b3, I mean, just I'm curious. So I'll spec.
I mean, you can go bishop to d3, right?
Yeah, but you take with rook.
Wait.
I mean, like queen c2
like
or what?
Queen c2 or queen b1 with bishop e4 ideas. No, you can go b4 with
yes,
white.
Queen b6. And
then put the bishop to, say, somewhere a2, b3. Now, in this case, I kind of don't like knight d4, so I thought maybe bishop a2 is...
Yeah, so we can start with bishop f6. Yeah, or knight d4 immediately. Yeah, so it's very, very complicated. But, I mean, it is more principled than the continuations that Wesley has chosen.
It depends, because now he will prove us wrong. He will simply make a draw with ease in this endgame and,
Okay, I think a3 is a clever move in this position.
Wait, the position that we have on the analysis board is somewhat different from... I mean, analysis board here in Daniel's computer.
Yeah, sorry.
It has to be... No, but that's not your fault. I think it's something, the connection between your laptop and the thing on a screen, because we are talking about the
different position.
The different position, yes. I'm afraid we might ask for some technical help.
I'll try to refresh it.
Because somehow it feels like our studio notebook has disconnected from the game. Right, so let's once again let's have it on the full screen then. Grischuk So. Let's try to have it on the full screen. And I can see Sasha Grischuk coming back. The break. I was told once again, I think it's Peter who told me that Grischuk has, I don't know since what time, but he has a strange habit of thinking about his moves, thinking of the player's rest area. So he only comes to the board, to actually make a move. seated,
Yeah, maybe he just has white plays.
if you are seated and your opponent makes the move immediately, it's kind of impolite, right? I mean, I'm not even sure if it's allowed by the rules, but even if so, it's kind of impolite. Okay, you made the move and I'm just leaving to think of it in somewhere else.
Yes, so...
Now we can't see the position really. We can only see the players.
Sasha's back.
And Wesley, I mean, he's not an easy object for for face reading to understand the emotions and everything. I mean, he always seems to be
almost
calm.
A poker face, right?
Always seems to be very, very calm.
Yes, but having a poker face against Alexander Grischuk, who is a kind of specialist on this card game.
I'm no longer sure. I've heard rumors that he stopped. Yeah, he was known to be like poker.
Yes, me too. But
as not poker professional, I would not call him poker professional. But he used to play. He used to play a lot.
Yeah.
He
played
and
strong.
Was quite successful. Yeah. But no, he seems to be concentrated on chess, and at least in round 1, proved that. Yeah, I can play. Play chess as well. Yeah, all right. So generally, now we can see the position more or less. So it's the endgame: 2 bishops for Grischuk, bishop and knight for Wesley So, 2 pairs of rooks each, and the symmetrical structure. So what would
be? What is the long-term plan for White?
Long-term plan: win the game. I believe White needs some exchanges, and by some, obviously, rooks exchanges, because at some point, let's say if we just move 1 pair of rooks off, or so this knight, I mean, the knight is the problem for black. It's like knight. So far, it's protected with the rook, but sooner or later, this knight will find it problematic to be on light squares, because it will always be chased by the bishop, right?
And as I have to admit a very, very important difference in comparison to positions that usually appear or occur at the board, that the pawn is on b6, which might be an inaccuracy for black, because if pawn would be on b7, the knight would be defended. So the knight on c6
is stable,
and bishop takes c6 sometimes is a threat, but sometimes it is not. But now, I mean, after taking on c6, White will win a full piece. So that's why pawn on b6 is, I mean, like.
Yeah, he would prefer it to be on b7, perhaps. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's not. So, well, on the other hand, it's not like he could do something, right? Because he played b6 on it's like
and pawns don't move back,
10
right?
moves ago, yeah.
Unfortunately, yeah. So g3 is a very clever move, obviously. And
g3, king g2 on the other wing. He will play
and again,
a3, right?
And again, Alexander leaves to the.
Yeah, he played g3, and once again he
leaves the board. Yeah.
Okay, so let's try one more time. If we were able to fix, now we were able to fix the board. So now we can proceed with our analysis. G3, yeah, everything works. So one more time. Let's think of it like. Wait. And what happens if black wants to put the knight on d4? Like goes bishop f6. White probably doesn't really care about the b2 pawn, because because it cannot be taken. Yes. So it's like it's not a must to go b3. King g2 or wow,
king g2 is clever, or rook e1.
G2, like king g2, you always feel like this king will sooner or later have to come to the center, for instance.
Yeah, but now maybe
then
knight
it's
d4.
knight d4, right?
Yes.
Then it's knight d4. Well, actually, knight d4 is sort of a threat already.
So usually we play like bishop e4.
bishop e4 to stop rook c2, right?
So I mean, like, constantly the black's position is slightly worse, and
even this,
yeah.
right? Because yes, knight is on d4 and everything, but white will now white will double on d file, play bishop e3. And
I mean, but they even do not have rook d7 because
rook
of
d7,
this one.
bishop f5, yeah.
I don't know with what they should start there.
Try to exchange something. The knight e6.
I mean, maybe
no?
even
g6.
g6. Yeah.
G6.
Yes,
For
probably.
instance, white starts to double. Rook d2. Rook d2
Or-
runs into knight e6 though.
Or
So
maybe we can
bishop
start
e3,
to disturb the
Bishop
black scheme after
h6.
bishop 6. I mean, the idea was that after bishop g7 I'll play bishop
You go
g5.
bishop
right?
g5.
So and again I'm provoking for the pawn movements.
Oh. Yeah, bishop h6. I don't see why bishop h6 is let's say a threat. So if you go bishop h6, knight f5 was possible as well.
Yeah, so I'm going to take on f5, I mean, and then just fixing the structure. Like I wanted to exchange another pair of rooks,
Take on
and probably
d8,
b3,
for instance,
or I'll start
or
with this
just
one.
to play b3. And it might, okay, I mean, I don't believe it is much, but it might be somewhat problematic. Like bishop g7, again, you play some bishop g5, and
Yeah, I mean, somehow we have to transform, I mean,
one
our-
advantage
yeah,
into the other,
yeah.
yeah. So
but
maybe...
rook g2 is also a very, very
No,
useful
no,
move.
but there is... I thought
You
there is
mean-
a problem. Yeah, at first I wanted to play rook d2, rook d1, but knight e6 immediately, and he will exchange
so
something.
you're forcing me to take and play bishop c1, which is probably
Mhm.
not that we really want to. Yeah, you're right.
It's once again, and when we said white is better immediately, right? Maybe we underestimated how fast black manages to coordinate everything. By the way, can we go like couple of moves back?
I mean,
Couple
like,
of moves back. When everything was exchanged on d5, rook c8, and it is somewhat puzzling why rook a d1. Why not rook f d1?
So bishop
Because
f6,
I would-
by the way, was played by Wesley.
Because I would actually think that the other rook belongs to c1. Okay, at least we keep saying that white wouldn't mind exchanging the
But
rooks.
you know, like after rook f d1, I thought that probably I can start with bishop f6 there,
ac1,
and the point that I can have play rook knight d4 there,
knight d4,
threatening knight d2.
So knight takes,
Maybe just simply rook king f1.
king f1, not to give the c file away.
Yeah, yeah.
That as well? Yes, king f1. No, but it feels like more, harmonious,
Right, right.
sort of. Maybe still black can hold, but this looks an improved version of the game. So
Yes, I mean, like, you're right that we are not giving up the pressure on c file, so we are trying to play on both open files, and like convincing that we are stronger because we have a pair of bishops. So,
yes,
yeah, but
possibly. I mean, once again, Grischuk obviously is much deeper in the position, and apparently there was the reason why he went with the A rook, not the F rook. But this reason yet to be seen. Yes,
So what
getting rook to c1
what
was.
will Alexander do next? I mean, king g2 or rook f e1?
What else? I was
Like
doing-
rook f e1 maybe is not working because of knight b4. Or no, there is something like bishop b7 there, controlling everything.
But bishop b3 is, I think, good enough. No,
I saw that there is something like
you
knight
jumped
d3.
there.
Yeah.
You jump there, yes. Rook e2, knight f4. Yeah. Tricky, because it's like give white a couple of moves to build up the position, and he will be much better.
Yes.
It's just that he's not in time a little. Okay, so
Yes, I mean, like the conclusion that while black is strategically slightly worse, they have to do something immediately. I mean, to avoid
and
like
he manages.
yes,
Till that point, he manages quite nicely.
Yep.
Bishop b7, for instance, in our position that we are analyzing, rook d1, rook d1, rook d8 might be, you know, because if takes, I don't see how white
How to defend the pawn?
how white saves the pawn. Yeah,
Maybe
a3, knight
bishop b8.
d3. Even bishop b8 is actually not.
Like
it's not terrible. Yeah.
Yes, maybe we have to play a4, but probably we're fixing
a4,
the structure.
knight d3.
Yeah, so I still, like, and a4
and
pawn
it's
is
just a draw,
hanging in the end. I mean, like, after bishop b8, you take, I take, and you take on a4. So that's why maybe a3 is.
Yeah, but then I still thought like knight d3 must be just a draw. Takes b2, play bishop c7. It's probably just a draw.
Yeah.
I mean, in some positions you might even start to be worried about your bishop on a7. Yeah. But
yes.
Yeah, have to be somewhat more careful. Yeah? Bishop f6, and you know, it still leaves very strange feeling, this game so far, because well,
yeah, after games like this where probably we will start to
kind of rethink what we were taught in school. Yeah, it feels like the way Wesley So played this middle game position, or there was no middle game, in fact, like right after the opening, like giving the bishop, allowing d5, like everything suggests that he's supposed to be worse. Okay, not much worse perhaps, but that's like in a very simplistic way. Takes, then okay, maybe it was possible to kind of try to stop d5. No, he just allows everything. And then he makes, I mean, if he makes a draw easily, that would be somewhat,
it will be a
strange.
Confirmation of the fact that chess is a drawish game.
Chess is just a draw, yeah. Take. Still f d1. Yeah, okay, he plays rook a d1. F
but
d8.
maybe you pointed out that rook f d1 was, I mean, at least an alternative. Yeah, but Grischuk decided to
go rook a d1, yes.
Rook.
Yeah, g3, bishop f6. b3 he's going to take, yeah? Sorry,
probably
he's going
d4.
to
or knight d4.
Knight there is also knight d4, yes. Keep forgetting. Could it be that there is just nothing? Knight d4?
No, I believe in Alexander that he'll find some
way to play.
Yeah.
We don't know. So what else? Let's move on. And let's see. Yeah, let's see Nakamura Dubov. The game which looked very exciting and still does, and somewhat similar to what we were looking at has happened.
Really? I mean,
I think so.
If we'll manage to look at the real board.
Because you think it's still like our old
analysis.
All analysis. I'm not sure. I think we actually simply managed to
predict,
to guess what's gonna happen. Yeah. So we would really like Nakamura Dubov. If we can get a camera on those gentlemen, would be nice as well. A few moves back, I think we had seen it after rook c8. Yeah, first time. Yeah, that's the position.
Really?
That's the position, and I'm wondering how much time Dubov has. Rook c8 was played. It took him 8 seconds. See, c8 took him 8 seconds. Then.
Yeah, so this is exactly the same line that we were.
Knight d5, yes, takes. Yeah. We said knight d4 is knight d4 takes, and queen to c7.
Yeah, that's the same.
Queen to c7.
And there
we were not playing queen c7. I think we were playing bishop c4 to protect the pawn.
I mean, because my conclusion was that white is still slightly better because we're going to surround this d3 pawn after playing queen d2. But there, maybe just simply rook c8 and I'm not sure that
Yeah,
White can anymore play for an
yeah,
advantage.
by the way, but I have a question. Once again, Dubov barely spent any time, so something. I mean, he sure has something.
Yeah,
for
58
this.
seconds for rook c3.
What happened? Yeah.
no,
rook
like
c3.
b takes c3 and then 20
Queen
minutes for
c7.
so probably
20 minutes. Okay.
yeah, but he's looking very, very confident at the moment.
My question is, if White takes on e6, what do you take with?
I think with rook it looks more
Still with
but
the rook,
yeah, but
yeah.
if I take with pawn on the
Yes,
on the one side I
F4,
take
mean.
d5 square, but on the other side I'm giving you some extra.
No, my point was very concrete. I wanted to play f4 and take on d3.
Okay,
It doesn't matter what you take.
Okay, so if your idea is to play a4, I take with rook.
Here here I probably start with bishop d5 first.
Maybe this one? Or
Ah.
just very, very
To sacrifice it
ambitious
like
and
that.
aggressive, yeah. Okay, rook
If rook
d6.
d6, yeah. And then you start using your double pawns. If I go c4, you go b5. If I go e4,
Yes,
you go
yes,
f5.
obviously.
Yeah. Right, queen d2 was played, the move that we kind of looked at, and bishop is
d7.
kept on the board. Yeah, bishop goes back to d7. So now once again, should White want it, he can play f4 and take on d3.
Yes, but was knight e6 a threat there at this moment after playing queen d2? I mean, if we just allow White to make a second move in a row.
Not really, but maybe he wants this. Oh wait, bishop d7. One of the reasons why you do this because you want to put the bishop on a4. Can this be the point?
It's aimed against rook d1. Probably.
Aimed against rook d1. Then if the queen leaves, all of a sudden, you just go d2 and you go d1. So maybe bishop on
Fancy.
a4. Maybe bishop on a4 makes sense. And as well, yes, if it wasn't a threat immediately, but maybe, yeah, just not to watch out all the time for this knight
Yes,
e6
because
lines.
for bishop d7, the first side looks a bit slow because still the position is very concrete, and probably I shouldn't have much time to make moves like this. So that's why I was wondering if I have something more active. I mean, like I mean, at least direct, like rook c8 or maybe rook d8. I mean, which is kind of a prevention against knight e6 because we're.
Yeah, knight e6 pawn takes and the d3 is still protected.
I mean, just positionally. But okay, maybe
What's the time for Hikaru?
Danny knows what he does.
It felt like he
50 minutes down, probably.
No, I thought like he has already
25,
like 20
yeah.
minutes or
Like
something.
25 against
25, yeah.
an hour.
You mean 50
Yeah.
minutes the difference?
Yes.
Yeah. It's really.
Yeah, so
many moves made, like 22, 21. Yeah, move number 22 for Hikaru to play.
yeah, but he has like 25 minutes for 19 moves.
Again, same question. F4. Where the knight is going? Knight c4,
probably.
we suspect. Now I don't have a choice. I have to take.
And simply knight e3.
Knight
I mean,
takes,
just
yeah.
I want to equalize there.
Rook e1. Knight g2 takes on e8. King g2. Bishop c6. Yeah. Hey, it's not easy to believe that White will be better here.
Like
yeah,
king
king
f2
f2 and
probably.
some queen d7 or e7
Or
yeah,
d6.
somewhere. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's just no problem for black at all. Yes, I suppose.
Yeah, the problem is that you're never able to exchange the queens, right? I mean, with queens being off the board, it would be practically winning for White.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, with such a lot, but this more or less applies to every position, which you can have after Black created himself like
Yes,
was
but
6 isolated pawns.
maybe even there, I think Nakamura will try to play this one somehow. I mean, like, okay, you're forcing me to play c4. Nevertheless, I'll do it. And then maybe I have some pawn connected with transferring my king to the queen side, and then at some, I'm just okay. It's a kind of fairy tale, but probably you'll give me a chance to trade the queens. I mean, just to play.
Okay, so that was my attempt to play f4 immediately. Anyway, f4 is well, if not, if won't be played now, still it's one of the
Right.
ideas
Main
here.
ideas.
One of the ideas. So you want to get rid of this d3 pawn, otherwise your chances to play for a win to activate your stuff are pretty slim. With queen on d2.
Maybe you know, like after f4, I have to take with the rook, because you have probably queen c2 is the only move because we're defending the pawn. If queen b1, there is something like knight d2, and you have no squares. If queen d1, I can take on c3 probably.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, because I thought queen h5, but then you have queen
But and
c5.
there I can take probably all of the pawns.
Yeah, you just collect my stuff. No.
Yeah, so
four-
probably it's better to take
4
with the
was
rook.
too optimistic, yeah. But how do I do it? I mean, I kinda have to
Maybe
get
some kind
rid
of
of-
prevention, like rook e1. I mean, it looks a bit
rook
weird, but
e1 to defend the e3 pawn.
maybe I can press it again somehow.
Rook e1 prepares f4.
Yeah.
Queen c4 or yeah, queen c4 somehow looks awkward. No, that's
Yeah.
not the move. Not the move I want to make.
Really.
Yeah, Daniil Dubov. Look, one of the lowest rated, if not the lowest rated player in this tournament. So he completely dominated the match against Anish Giri. I mean, the games were not. Now we are showing the time. Look, less than 20 minutes left.
19 or 18 minutes probably. 18:45 now.
So what was I saying? Daniil completely dominated the match against Giri, and now against Hikaru, he's
At least he
once
pressed
again
some time.
he's trying. I mean, it's like a lot of people would think, well, I'm playing with Nakamura, I have to try to be solid and everything, yeah. But now he went for the Tarash, and he went for this really unbalanced position, and he. So far, it's not easy to suggest. I mean, how white is supposed to progress here. Yeah, our rook e1 might be the idea.
Yeah,
by the way.
Daniil Dubov he remains playing at the same style as he usually does, and that's why he has a lot of fans. I mean, in the chess community.
Okay, so after rook e1, what can we do with black? Because now f4 becomes a threat. So come on, Hikaru, play rook e1 so that we all see what's the plan for black is. Yeah, it's interesting.
It's also easy to find even a single reaction. Yeah, probably rook e1.
It was the rook. Not sure if it was e1. Yeah, rook e1. So we've managed to guess this one. But since Dubov has spent some time, I believe he already knows what he's supposed to be doing. Bishop, wait. Not clear, really.
So now I'm rethinking, and after rook e1, I'm not, I can't say very optimistic, but even mildly optimistic for black. Because queen c5 is probably not working, because of f4 again.
Knight c4 you just take, yeah?
Yeah, you just take on d3 and okay.
Yeah, if something like this happens, you start taking pawns, you give your d3
Yes,
pawn,
but
then the weaknesses
yeah,
will tell, yeah. So the key to this position for black is, of course, to keep the d3 pawn alive for as long as possible.
Yes.
Queen c4 for this? But then you... White.
Despite the fact that we consider this move as an awkward.
But at least to protect it, yeah.
Yes, once again, okay, f4, the most principal.
f4.
Like knight c6.
Yeah, perhaps I have to mention that for few seconds I was considering once again to be clever to start with bishop f1 first and then to go f4, but it blunders queen takes d4. There was such motive. f4. Okay, knight c6. Knight c6 to get rid of this knight on d4 somehow. Maybe the position is still not all that bad for black, as long as the d3 pawn stays alive. Right?
Yeah, so f4 was probably, I've hard with this move. Maybe
taking the pawn on b7. No, not really.
What about this one?
Bishop e4. Okay, f5.
Or at least you have f5.
Yeah.
Yes.
f5, driving this guy somewhere. Bishop takes b7 now. It's actually, yeah, I said no to this bishop b7, and now I don't see the punishment. I mean, why not? Why not? Just take the pawn. Daniel replied pretty quickly.
So let's see what it was.
I believe it was...
Queen
no,
c4?
I don't
No?
see really.
Okay, I'll refresh it once again. No, rook c8.
Rook to c8 attacking c3. Wait. f4, queen takes c3, no? Naka plays rook c1.
Yeah, so let's check what it was if f4. Probably just knight c4, no? I mean, the idea that if you take on d3, I play knight b2, and I'm okay with trading all pawns. I mean, leaving just this three, f7,
So
f6, and h7.
Queen d2 or c2, whatever.
Yeah,
you're taking on c3.
Yes, well, I'm forcing the trade. For example, queen d2, I take.
Takes.
Probably you have to take. And I believe that this one
still black
is acceptable for
like
black.
kind of fine here. Yeah. All right, Naka played rook c1. Naka played rook c1, renewing the threat of f4 because the rook left from e8, and it could
Maybe
as
trigger
well
rook
be.
e8 back.
Yeah, it could as well be. That's what I thought.
But probably something like c4 there.
You still think that white will try to play for win?
Obviously.
Yeah, why not?
I mean, while black is
C4.
repeating, at least I can try to change.
c4, bishop d5, f4, right? Or f4, very next move. Well, actually, I kind of like c4. Okay, so it's been almost a couple of hours of our commentary. Let's quickly check what the positions on all the boards look like. So here we've already said. Yeah, by the way, there won't be any repetition. Dubov played queen c5. Here we do believe that normally white's position is fine and everything. But the fact that Naka is somewhat short on time, and the fact that Dubov continues blitzing out, it might still be that...
Which is extremely brave against Naka.
Yeah, I mean, it might still... it might be that he, if not knows the position precisely, but something similar has already occurred.
Adds the psychological factor.
Yeah, psychology as well, of course. So just quickly, Wei against Nepo... Anything changed? Jan managed to bring his knight to... his bishop to e5, right?
So you were correct with your investigations.
Bishop f4, rook
predictions.
e8.
Immediately, yeah.
Apparently
which is
this...
very logical.
Yeah, rook e2, yes, the pawn was not possible to take. Rook f3, bishop to f6 attacking b2, and bishop e5. h3, driving the queen away. But then it's absolutely fine. Yeah, absolutely fine. Compare the position with bishop when the bishop was on d8 and now the bishop is on e5.
That's an obvious improvement. So the next one is Svidler
most likely a draw. Yeah, Peter Svidler against Radoslav Wojtaszek. What's happening there? Some play. Rook f e8 indeed was played the moment we were thinking it.
Yes, and Peter
Rook
played knight
e8,
c2.
Peter played knight c2, a5, perhaps stopping knight b4, but then b4 was played. Queen to what?
A7.
Queen to a7. So he's already allowed, if he wants it, to go b5,
Yep.
kind of getting even more space. Knight d2, rook a to c8.
And I like b5, and I like b5 still. I mean,
Peter
If I'm not-
thinking, interestingly, yeah. Peter thinking. Not that black is threatening a b4 anytime soon, right? Because a b4, knight b4 also seems
on
like
bishop g3.
bishop g3, yeah. Bishop g3 played. You know what? Once again, since I mean we are revisiting every single game because I was thinking of making a short break, so that's why let's.
the first draw.
What?
That's a draw.
Bishop g3 with a draw offer. That's puzzling because when I've started this long phrase about blah blah blah, I was trying to. I was planning to, to finish it with, but Peter seemingly is having something in this position, and then it turns out that Bishop G3 came along with a draw offer. I'm not sure about what time they were. Yeah, they was still fine, and from what I can see, it was
almost
37, 40 something. So it's not like dramatic time difference.
Yes, but we cannot blame Peter. But at least let's.
Yeah, he knows what he's doing, but this is somewhat mysterious, right? Because if you don't play. Doesn't it look somewhat similar to Svidler from round 1?
Yes,
well,
but
it's like you got comfortable position, which is interesting, and your opponent still has some tasks to solve, and then a draw for some reason.
I just simply do not understand.
So
what was the I mean, not the purpose. What was the reason?
What's the yeah? Okay. So sometimes that's once again. You don't know what's going through a player's mind, and maybe something has happened that, I don't know, non-chess related, and then he doesn't feel well. So that we obviously don't know. But from, let's say, from the outsider who doesn't know anything,
like probably there is some tactics immediately. Like if I take,
so you think there was
no, it's not working.
Maybe
just some simplifications.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, what I don't understand, I mean, if he wanted to play, he could go b5, bishop g3. I still don't see that black has already like completely equalized.
Right, but maybe in this posture, I mean, if we add like b5, bishop b7, and bishop g3 there, maybe e5 may be good for black because we're trying to get our knight to c5.
e5, d5, and then black gets the square on c5, and white can't really bring anything to c6. Yeah.
And then black have a clear plan connected with regrouping on the king side, and then f7, f5 at some point. Yeah, so...
Anyway, this game is finished. 3 games in progress. Still one more game we have to revisit before going for an interview, I believe. We are getting ready for an interview with Peter Svidler. So, Grischuk Wesley, have we seen it?
g5.
Well, not the most conventional way to, but it kind of makes sense, huh?
Personally, I don't like this kind of moves and this particular.
Yeah, for an endgame, it does look very, very strange.
Yes,
but perhaps it's something
concrete. Something concrete.
Bishop e3, I suspect, and then what? Knight b4. He's planning to take the pawn, no?
Knight b4.
Knight b4. Perhaps. Anyway, about those positions we usually say that even if black somehow wins the pawn, white should be able to make a draw.
Yeah.
I still believe it holds true. So 3 games in progress.
Yes, and
we've checked everything, right? I believe, and we are ready for an interview with Peter Svidler. We'll take a short break afterwards, and we will come back in some 10 minutes. Stay tuned and listen to an interview.
if you would go some 5.
So we start our first interview in the second round of the FIDE Grand Prix leg in Moscow, and our first guests are Peter Svidler and Wojtaszek, who ended their game in a draw. So Peter, you were playing with the white pieces, and were you happy with the opening outcome?
Not really, but I'm never happy with the opening outcome, so it's nothing unusual. And at least I got a playable position at one point during the opening. I mean, this is all reasonably well known, but there was a certain point where I thought the game might just finish by move 15 because I couldn't see what I'm doing in a certain position apart from repeating moves, but it didn't happen. So we got a playable position with all the pieces on the board, and at some point I thought I was getting somewhere, but in the final position it was very difficult for me to understand what my plans are, and it's a kind of a strange and difficult position to play with a headache, with 30 pieces on the board and not really any kind of clear-cut plan. And I just thought I'll ask Radek what he thinks about the position, and he seemed to not like his position either. So that's something that often happens, that in a very complicated position nobody is really sure who is better and who is worse. I don't know. 20 minutes ago I thought this was better for me, but somehow not anymore, and I was kind of running a bit low on time, so I wasn't confident enough to continue.
Thank you very much. And you opted for c5 on the first move. Was your plan to make this game as risky as possible with this?
No, well, it's simply my main move, so it's not any surprise that I played c5. But after that, I think I misplayed something in my prep, and I thought that I'm worse. But and then I've done what actually you did in the first round.
There are certain parallels.
No, I didn't even. I mean, I think only CD4. It was the only move I managed to cross the half board.
Yeah,
so
and I was actually kind of surprised because I thought you can just play rook e8 instead of cd4, because then, for instance, the move knight c2 that I made in the game would be.
But I wasn't sure about e5.
Okay, yeah, I was.
I also wasn't sure about e5 instead of bishop g5.
Yeah, I couldn't believe in it, but I mean the option exists, but it's difficult. It was difficult.
Yeah, no, I think after bishop d3, bishop takes a4 maybe is the move.
Maybe, yeah.
But I simply forgot my prep. And what I got, I didn't really like, or maybe I simply didn't understand it well. But when I got an offer, of course, I agreed that because I thought that I'm simply worse here, which might be not correct, of course. But
the exact same speech we've had 3 days ago. Yeah.
Thank you very much for this short analysis. And my question is about your free day yesterday. So what were you doing?
I played with a dog for about 6 hours straight. I'm very happy. It doesn't happen very often.
And you?
Yeah, I went to have some lunch with my family here, which was nice, of course. And then I had some prep, which of course didn't really work out. But apart of that, it was nice.
Thank you very much, and good luck to both of you.
Thank you.
welcome for those who just joined us. Welcome back for those who stay with us from the beginning of the round. It's game 1 of round 2 in Moscow Grand Prix. 1 game has finished, 3 games are still in progress. We have a draw between Svidler and Wojtaszek. Today, interestingly, there is a chance that all games will be drawn. Right. Okay. First of all, it's less games than
Yes.
So
So that's why the probability of this
happening
increases.
Yeah, because 100% of the games finished in a draw. If we say this about the final, it means only 1 game finished
Yes.
in a draw, right? Now
And
we
it will
have
be
4.
not so hard to predict.
Yeah. Now we have 4. 1 of them has finished, and like we do have some games that are likely to finish in a draw. By the way, the game on your screen is the game between Wei, Chinese player, and Jan Nepomniachtchi. Wei having the
Yes,
white pieces.
We can't say that this one is really bloody, but
Yeah, at some point we thought that white was having some, okay, at least achieved something, right? Then Jan maneuvered his bishop to e5, and then we came up with the, let's say, with the assessment that everything now has to be fine, right? Last moves, rook to a4, and Jan takes on f4, right?
so
Bishop f4, rook a takes on f4 immediately.
simplification, sir.
Has to give a check from
Come on.
e1.
So, but rook, if
Yeah,
rook
after
f1,
rook f1, black is, it seems black is forced, no, queen e2. Yeah, I wanted to say black is forced to go queen e7 and, you know, to accept this position, queen versus 2 rooks, queen and a
Yeah.
pawn versus 2
which
rooks.
may be a bit unpleasant for black.
Which could have been, yeah, a bit unpleasant for black. But queen e2 is a nice move. Now,
Possibly. Yeah, so the idea is that if white
yeah,
takes
queen
on
takes
e2,
e2,
rook
takes
takes,
e2.
we take on f7, and after rook b2, b7 pawn is
protected, and c3 pawn is hanging. Yeah,
Probably we can continue with
rook
rook
d7,
d7,
but
and
then rook takes c3.
yeah, and rook g3
Black
at the
is
end.
just in time. If white goes rook f7,
We can play just simply rook g3, and
yeah, look, nice.
and I know that Boris Gelfand has this kind of habit.
Yeah,
But
it's
usually
like
he does it with pawns.
for many chess players, that's the thing, like rotating, you know, like something, and well, yeah, usually that's the pawn, yeah.
Yeah.
And Jan, it was Jan, by the way. Yeah, it was Jan's hand. So he was doing the same thing with the bishop. Yeah. So in our line, black is totally fine, or I don't know,
At least.
maybe winning, maybe winning.
Yes.
Of course, white should not do such things.
For example, if they do not trade.
Queen g3 is possible, but then rook e7, yeah, and what's or c7, and then, you know, black is even slightly more active here.
Do you have something like rook f6 there?
Ah, rook f6 attacking d6 and h6.
Yeah, but maybe you can just simply play there.
Rook e3.
And I was a bit optimistic about my previous move, so that's why
Ah, yeah.
I'm taking the words back about this one.
So once again, let's look at the straightforward line. Queen e2, rook e2, right? Queen e2, rook e2. If I'm not taking on f7, how realistic my chances are? Like, yeah, maybe to start with rook b4.
So I have to create some counterplay, probably, but
Meanwhile, we were informed that another game has finished. Dubov and Nakamura finished the game. I suspect it is a draw. Let's quickly look at this one. What has happened?
so queen c5 was the
Yeah, queen c5. That's what we
last
see.
position that we saw.
f4. Knight c4 takes. Queen a3.
That's probably
Rook b1. Something very similar to what we had seen.
yeah.
Knight d6, attacking the pawn. Knight e2. Bishop f5. e4. And he offered a draw. Ah, so that's how it happened.
Is it the right time to accept the draw, by the way?
From Black's perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good question. Why would you?
I mean, like, as we can see that Dubov was like 50 minutes.
Yeah, had
Up,
50,
yeah, ahead of-
50 minutes more on the clock. Well, it's moved
Like,
29.
Yeah, so it's like 10 moves.
Or 28, yeah,
Yeah.
moved 28. So 11 moves, 12 moves for Nakamura to
So
make
by the
this
way,
11
I
minutes.
think he could have checked Hikaru at least. I mean, like playing bishop g4 or bishop e6.
So it's like white is, black is completely out of risk, right?
I think so, but I mean, like, if Nakamura is that kind of player that I think he never agrees on draw if he sees some even slight chances to create something.
So the moment he offered a draw, kind of gives you the idea that
Yes, yes.
Hikaru doesn't really see prospects
Yes,
for
yes,
himself to win this game.
So probably just bishop e6. Maybe it's still, I mean, like, it might be equal. Like,
Yeah, I'm thinking maybe it's easier to play with black all of a sudden, huh? Is there? Yeah, wait.
Yeah, first of all,
it's
yeah.
very important. But what happens if rook b6 is the move or not? If rook b6 is the move
that's
or
the
not?
question.
Because otherwise, if rook b6 is possible, then it's not clear why to agree a draw for
Maybe,
white. Yeah.
maybe there, I mean, maybe some straight.
Queen c5 check is a possible move. You know what? And this could be the reason. Now, if the king goes and I go, so say bishop g4, I'm not even sure if it's ever. Yeah, bishop g4. Because I just thought the reason for the players to agree a draw would be some forcing line after queen c5, queen d4 exchange, like all the pawns are getting exchanged, and then you are left with 3 versus 3. I believe we are ready for an interview with Daniil Dubov and Hikaru Nakamura.
So,
We'll come back right after and to see if at least one game will continue, because it seems to be like really drawish day today.
And we're back in the press center, and Hikaru Nakamura and Daniil Dubov are with us. So Hikaru, you were playing with the white pieces, but you were spending much time in the opening. So were you surprised by your opponent's move d3 maybe, or which one?
Okay, I mean, I knew that Daniil would surprise me in the opening, but I didn't quite expect him to play 20 moves or something like this without thinking at all. But yeah, it was a very tough position because it feels like, I mean, I should be completely fine, or maybe better. I mean, if you don't have a computer, the moves aren't being blitzed. But then when Daniil kept blitzing every single move, I mean, I knew he'd play this d3, and around this time he played this b takes c3. I thought I should be completely fine, maybe better, but it feels like it's all about one tempo, and I couldn't quite make it work. And I think objectively, there's probably nothing, even though, I mean, it looks very dubious for black with all these weird pawns. But I think, I mean, it's probably balanced at the end.
And you had actually quite weak pawns on both sides. So was it your preparation from home to get this position?
Yeah, obviously it was not exactly a bluff, yeah. No, I mean, like, I think I had it in the morning till knight d6, so I think till knight d6, I mean, it's 1 or 2 moves, I mean, earlier than we agreed to draw. I think till knight d6 is basically a perfect game of chess. Like, white had different tries, but I think, I mean, black is okay objectively, and yeah, I mean, I didn't expect it either, because, I mean, normally such a deep prep, I mean, yeah, misses the target, but here, I mean, suddenly, like, Hikaru was taking his time, but still we were going by exactly, the lines I analyzed, and then at some point I realized that I'm about, to run out of my, memory, not even prep, because I'm pretty sure, I mean, I had it longer, but I mean, at least I was about to start thinking, so I started with offering a draw. I thought, okay, I remember that I'm fine, but it's kind of tricky for black. Like, black is completely fine, but he has to be a little bit precise, and like, white has different tries to, to prove his advantage, so I mean, I offered a draw. Hikaru kept playing, then somehow I managed to push myself and like get few more moves, I mean, from my memory, because I think when I played Queen C7, I offered a draw. Then I realized that actually Queen C7, Bishop D7, I had all the stuff at home. I think till knight D6, I mean, I have this position like knight D6 equal. I don't think our like last two moves changed too much. So I mean, a draw is okay, and you could obviously see that I'm not exactly in a great shape today. So I mean, I didn't feel really good, so a draw is okay.
So, and Wesley said yesterday in the interview that maybe it was your plan or strategy to transfer the game to Rapid. So is it true?
No, I mean, I think when you start with white, this is never the intention. I mean, if you draw a game with black, you always have this option, generally with white. But no, I mean, of course not. I mean, it's funny Wesley should be talking about my strategy when Wesley should really, I think, thank me for Jan Christoph playing the dragon. Because if Jan Christoph doesn't play me in this match in February, I don't think he ever looks seriously at the dragon and plays this in their game. So, so yeah, I mean, it's surprising. But okay, I mean, tie breaks happen, but you just play every game one at a time.
And you had a free day yesterday, so what were you doing?
I mean, I was basically trying. I mean, obviously, the match against Anish was, you know, quite an emotional one. So I was basically trying to recover. I mean, I didn't follow tie breaks at all, and I mean, I just had a very nice day. But I probably got a little bit cold in the middle of the day. So I mean, I didn't feel, I mean, exactly great today. So yeah, I hope to be in a better shape tomorrow. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Good luck to both of you. Thank you.
So it's two draws in round 2, game 1. Daniil Dubov and Hikaru Nakamura also made the draw. Well, the funny, well, not the funny question, but the funny answer in Dubov's interview, if getting all those weak pawns was a part of home preparation, and perhaps it was the part but not the point of home preparation. That's what Daniil Dubov said.
Not the concept.
Yeah, we still have 2 more games. Both of them looking fairly equal at the moment.
But
I don't
still
know.
remain complicated. So,
So we have on camera, we have Jan's back and him, you know,
yes. So
rotating this thing, the pawn against Wei. So
Jan looks a bit bored.
Jan looks fairly bored because they are about to repeat the moves, I'm
Probably.
guessing. So let's quickly bring this position on the screen. The queens were traded on e2 indeed. That's what the line we were thinking of. Rook b4, and he went to c7. Rook f2, rook e1, rook f1, and yeah, Wei looks determined. He wants this repetition. So it's just a question if Jan will or will not accept.
So by the way, I mean, can White decline this proposal of a draw? I mean, playing in this position, rook b6 immediately. Okay, I mean, the most, I'd say, possible answer, or not possible, the most, I mean,
This kind of
most
logical follow-up, yeah.
most likely looking answer is that no, but still, I mean, just to check.
Yeah, so my problem here, to be honest, is that
White
even
do
if
not have a threat.
yeah, it's like if black is, you know, stupid but greedy and goes rook d7, which is obviously, I mean, this is kind of a passive move you don't want to play. But even if you do this, I mean, how realistic White's chances are? Rook d7 and then the king comes to e7, for instance.
Maybe my idea was to play rook.
To double,
Yes, but you can.
I can do this, right? And then rook b4, I'm the first.
Yes,
I'm
to
first
eat.
to take. Yeah, well, it's very unlikely. I mean, it's very unlikely. Something big has to happen for one of the sides to have chances. Yeah, rook f2.
Oh, probably at least I can play rook c5 there.
Yeah, it's like you always can switch to an active defense. I mean, that's the thing with such endgames, that you always can switch to an active defense and then end up in the position where you're pawn down. But You have enough.
And maybe the
here
most
you do
active-
you end up you do not end up with.
Yeah,
pawn down.
maybe it's better to double because rook c5 is not working because of rook b7. So that's
Oh.
why we play there. We are provoking to take, and then we play rook b2,
Mhm.
and rook e2 is coming, and probably again some repetitions like rook f2,
No,
rook
but
e1
wait,
check.
rook f2, rook e1.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
then
So there is
rook
no
e1 and
repetition.
rook e2. Yeah,
Yeah, and
there
black
isn't
wins.
even a repetition. Yeah, so that.
Yes, so
in this case, all of a sudden, white has to be careful,
Right.
Because the rook is kind of getting stuck on
Yeah.
b6.
So the draw agreed.
So a draw agreed. We are left with one game only, where Alexander Grischuk so far doesn't look like he will be able to capitalize on his pair of bishops advantage. In fact, he's
By the
pawn
way,
down.
Yeah, and the position is exactly the same that we were thinking it may occur.
Mhm. So Grischuk is pawn down. So once again, I do believe that white has enough resources, not to be worse.
Of course.
But it's like the problem is once again we are talking about the position at your right, the position between Grischuk and Wesley So. Never mind what those letters say. It's not Wei Nepomniachtchi. Wei
Yeah.
Nepomniachtchi is finished.
So now it's switched.
It will be an interview. But the position at your right, the position on our analysis board, it's the game between Grischuk and Wesley So, which is still going. Last move being knight b4 taking on a2, and the big point is that rook d5 that normally would be very, very nice for white start
Falls into
start
knight c3.
taking those pawns, but it runs into knight c3.
And
what
how to continue?
move we are supposed to play, because we keep saying white cannot be worse, white can, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh yeah. So let's try to check the most. I can't say principle, but direct lines. I mean, like playing rook d6, and simply
King
playing
goes.
king. Yeah. So probably bishop h6 is not a threat because black can simply take there, and at least I think they can give up an h5 pawn in some
but
positions.
he has rook c5.
And rook c5 obviously.
He has rook c5.
Yes, you're
and
right.
now white is like pawn down.
Yeah,
for
they're just-
real. Yeah.
No, I mean probably I have something like bishop d5 is not working because of king g6. Yes. So bishop h6 is at least illogical because obviously we don't need to trade the bishops while we have a pair of them. After king g7, that's a real question.
Rook is not doing all that much on d6 then. Yeah, right.
Yes,
Like if bishop.
but what else to do?
What else to do? Knight c3 is let's agree on knight c3 not being a threat just yet, right? Because knight c3 we still have rook c1, but it's still sort of annoying. Yeah, well actually, Grischuk has to be. I mean, not only like we are failing to find an advantage for him. So
like maybe we should play bishop f4.
yeah, bishop f4. I was
I
thinking.
mean to disturb the rook.
Bishop f4, rook e7 allows a check on... No, check on d8 is not doing all that. Rook e7. Rook e7. Obviously, I'm not leaving the 7th rank voluntarily. Right.
And now maybe we can try to play for some domination. But I don't see
Bishop...
any ideas.
Bishop what? Bishop c6, bishop f5.
Bishop f5 looks cute. I mean, we're just restricting something.
Okay, let me see what time players have.
12 to 43.
Oh, that's move 27, 12 minutes for Grischuk, so it's not a time trouble for Alexander Grischuk, obviously. Having 1 minute per move, that's absolutely normal.
He can afford himself to drink a cup of coffee.
Yeah, absolutely. Wait, but that's nonsense what we are talking about, because
The position?
the position is yet to get there. The bishop is on f3, g4, and he didn't play bishop e4, so he's still thinking. So we kind of we were a bit ahead of the schedule. Meanwhile, we are ready for an interview, as far as I know. Wei against Nepomniachtchi, another draw, so 3 draws today, and let's listen to the explanation what happened in this particular game.
So our new guests are Wei and Jan Nepomniachtchi, who also made a draw. Wei, were you surprised by your opponent's c5 on the first move?
No, I think he usually played net off, yes.
So what can you say about this game from your point of view?
I chose the bishop b5, and I think queen d7 and bishop d8 was a very interesting idea. Yes, and maybe I should play rook d1 instead of knight d5, but I missed queen g6 if I play rook takes f4, and I think the position should be equal, yeah. And then after some moves, the game turned into a equal end again.
Jan, do you agree with your opponent on this game?
Yes, basically in this opening I had not so good game against Jan Grischuk So last year in Dortmund, and I think in the same position I played rook d8 instead of bishop d8, so bishop d8 is clearly an improvement. And then, at some point I thought that maybe I can try to seek some initiative, like maybe to help for something more than just a draw, because my pieces are going to be active, and in case if I just keep rooks and queens on the board and trade bishops, maybe the e-file can be very important. But somehow perhaps I could play this better, but it was more or less equal, all the way.
Are you happy with the draw with the black pieces in the first game in this system of play?
As I have read, the draw is better than losing and worse than winning. Yes, let me just repeat one wise man. Yeah.
Thank you very much. And now you're going to play with the black pieces. So maybe you're not happy with because you had your white game, the game with the white pieces. So what's your idea of this?
Yes, it is of course. It's more difficult to play black than white, yes. But I need to play.
And what is the score against each other? What score do you have against each other in your previous encounters? Do you know it?
I think in classical chess, my opponent has +2 with no losses, so he's very strong.
Thank you very much. Good luck to you.
All right, so welcome back. It's still round 2, game 1, 3 draws, and 1 game in progress. Alexander Grischuk against Wojtaszek So. And despite all our claims that 2 bishops should be great advantage, so far Wojtaszek So manages to keep the position balanced and even is threatening to win the pawn against Alexander Grischuk. After the interview, I can say Nepomniachtchi admitted himself that he already has lost a couple of times against Wei, and he considers Wei to be a very dangerous opponent.
Right.
We said that Jan has really good score against Chinese players. That's correct, but particularly against Wei, it's not that great. So, what happens? So g4, the bishop was attacked. After g4, bishop e2 was played, I believe.
And in this position, me and Evgeny were thinking about playing bishop e8, which is kind of... I don't know how to describe this kind of move. I mean...
Study-like move.
Yeah, study-like.
So you move the bit. Yeah, let's first of all let's mention that those letters next to our analysis board have
of course it's not
nothing to do with reality. It's not Wei and Nepomniachtchi. Those guys left the building. It's Grischuk and Wojtaszek So who are playing this game. What's the point of bishop a8? Why we were looking at such a crazy-looking move?
Because the initial idea that if we
bishop
play
e4
bishop
was
e4,
the natural move. Knight takes a2, and then you really want to play rook d5 in order to attack the h5 pawn, but it runs into knight c3. I think we've mentioned this already a couple of times. So we thought where to hide this light square bishop so that knight will not attack him, and we thought of bishop a8.
So knight a2 is obviously the most principal line.
And then rook d5, we can attack the h-pawn. But we had some...
Yes, and we thought that probably a rook c8 is an only move. Because, okay,
h4...
I think we shouldn't consider h4 as a good one because we can simply take on h4, I think. And this disruption of the pawn structure may be in the white's favor at the end. I mean, like, taking on h4 and something like...
Yeah, wait,
rook
we still have to attack these pawns, right? Yeah, I mean, there is a feeling like those pawns are weak, but if we can't really win anything...
Yeah, just rook d4.
Rook d4, and
like
if f5...
Yes, f5 and maybe just... there
wait.
might be something. I mean, maybe rook
f4, yeah, but then
bishop
he has
g5.
bishop g5, that's
which is very, very
annoying,
unclear.
yeah?
And if I start with rook d5 there...
Rook f7, then we don't have this pin. Rook d5, rook f7. So maybe he's still alive, even this way. But anyway, our original idea was not h4 for black, but rook c8, and after bishop b7, rook back to c7. And it's either repetition or bishop a6, and then black once again has double attack with the knight b4. This we still couldn't figure out what's happening, because after rook f5, knight a6, rook f6, black is up a pawn, white still seemingly has enough compensation. Okay, it was a bit messy.
Yes, and after rook c7 we still can play rook f5, but it's very unclear, because it should be a mathematical problem, because we should just...
Yeah, rook b7, rook f6, that's what
Yeah,
you
rook
mean,
b7, rook f6, and it's quite difficult to estimate who is gonna be faster. For example, if we take on h5, black starts to
black
push their
pushes, it will be a draw.
It will be a draw, as usual.
It will be a draw. It's very easy. I mean, as long as I'm not responsible for such evaluations. No, I mean,
Equalize
I can tell you the scenario under which it will be a draw. White will take some pawns on the king side. Meanwhile, black will push the pawn further and further,
And
so
then we'll
that in
just
the end you will have to give the bishop for it.
Yes, and it will be like 3 with rook against rook and knight, and white will try to push because they're white.
So, in fact, after g4,
Bishop
Grischuk
E2.
went bishop e2. The pawn was taken.
And in the first side, we thought that after knight a2, the bishop on e2 is a bit misplaced, because all the time knight c3 comes with a tempo. And for example, if we play h3 there, knight c3, rook c1, pinning, but
Pinning the knight, yeah, and then
not
black
sufficiently, because black can just
moves the rook somewhere,
avoid the
d7.
pin, playing rook d7 or rook e7 probably. And there are still some questions for Alexander Grischuk, how he can continue his, I don't know, showing his endgame class. And
So, in fact, what has happened after bishop, knight a2, yeah, bishop f4, attacking the rook, then, interestingly, not to e7, but rook c2 was played. Showing some, okay, I wouldn't say aggressive intentions, but still.
so, by the way, if rook e7,
Rook e7, yeah. Well, perhaps bishop c4. Perhaps bishop c4. Maybe black doesn't like the fact that rook d8 check is in the position. Maybe immediately rook d8 check.
king g7,
King g7, then moving the bishop, yeah. Bishop c. Not that I'm a big fan of white's position even there. I don't know, really.
I mean, even there after knight
Knight
c3, everything is
c3
well
and then b5.
protected.
Yeah.
And
Anyway,
but you know, like, probably the idea was to play bishop d6 there, creating some not really
I mean, it's like check and check.
like,
and
yeah, maybe Wesley was just a bit lazy to calculate this.
Anyway, yeah,
Checks.
I mean, I don't see the problem with his move. Rook c2
Yeah, rook
is,
c2
is
looks
perfectly
very
fine. So he attacks the
ambitious.
bishop. Now, I just thought...
So what if we do the same? I mean, like bishop c4. I mean, like, we're cutting black's rook from the f7 pawn. in some positions.
Yeah, now rook d7 becomes a real threat, by the way. After bishop c4,
Maybe we can find some drawish motifs again.
but how is that? A b5? No?
b5 was my
Yeah, b5.
first.
Yeah, what happens after
initial
b5,
idea.
by the way?
So I have to take.
Assume, yeah.
Yeah.
Assume white takes, knight c3, right?
Not with a big pleasure, but I think I
Knight
have to take.
c3,
Like,
bishop
yeah,
d3
and rook f2. I mean,
is the only move, right?
at least I think.
Rook f2, king f2, yeah.
Take and go back to c3.
It's a pawn.
Okay, it's a
It's
draw.
still a pawn. It still must be. Well, it kind of must be a draw, but still, black manages to.
You mean like the
Knight
white pawn
c3.
are fixed and
But on the other hand, now white
yeah, they're
has,
closer to
you
the
know,
queen
some,
side.
kind of has some chances of attacking the a7 pawn. Yeah,
Yep. So
should
it
be
might be a draw.
should be a problem. On the other hand, I mean, if white wants a draw, okay. I mean, if somehow he changes his mind and he wants to be super solid, I believe rook d2 is good enough.
Of course.
Rook d2 takes, and then how do you?
Yeah, but like there are two approaches: making a draw as a side who is defending. I mean,
As the defending
Yeah.
side, I mean, yeah, rook d2 is good enough.
maybe knight b4, but okay. Still, I
No,
mean,
I just thought takes an h3. I mean, it's not like I was planning to trap the knight or something.
yeah,
knight
obviously.
before or just h3 immediately. Yeah. So any way for Alexander to actually play for a win?
so
We said bishop c4. No, rook d2 was not played, I guess. No,
no, obviously no.
he's still thinking.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to understand what Wesley does. I mean, with the
With the
with
score
his-
sheet, I
yeah,
mean,
with the
so
score
something.
sheet, yeah.
Bishop c4.
like maybe he was
wait.
checking like the threefold repetition. I don't know, but
No, it wasn't yet, right? Wait, bishop d3. Does bishop d3 make any sense? Not really, right? I will
Instead of bishop-
force the rook to b2, but that's it, yeah.
can I play? Ah no, bishop c1 isn't working. Yeah. But is rook b3 a threat? Because next move I'll play bishop c4 and then rook d7.
I think that knight c3 is it, right?
Yeah, knight
right?
c3
It's
is
kind of knight
most
c3,
likely a
b5,
threat.
a5, something. Then later on he's gonna take on b2. So once again, we are running into the same problem that bishop c4, black goes b5, yeah.
yes.
But now it becomes worse because bishop takes.
There is no bishop d3 in the end.
There is no bishop d3 in the end.
So it's probably maybe not worse because of rook,
Rook d6 here.
but there is something like knight e4 probably, which it can be unpleasant for white.
So there is no reason for white to do to go for it, right? Bishop d3 is not a move then. The fact that Grischuk is thinking here kind of gives me the idea that he possibly...
Missed something.
Yeah, it's like he was not expecting rook c2. Because, yeah, we couldn't figure out what's wrong with rook e7 for black, and maybe there wasn't anything wrong. And rook c2 might have come as a surprise, because you really would think, I mean, without calculating those lines, you would really think, okay, rook leaves the 7th rank, I go bishop c4, my next move is rook d7, and
Yeah,
then I'm
obviously.
attacking the king. Yeah, if not for b5, that would be like close to winning position for white, right? Bishop c4, if there is no b5 in the position.
Yes,
If
obviously.
black has to play, say, knight c3, then we go rook d7, and it's all of a sudden white starts attacking with all the pieces. But there is
Can we
b5.
expect rook d2 from Grischuk right now? I mean,
Mm,
almost ending the game.
yeah, I mean, it depends. Okay, he's on 4 minutes now, and that would be understandable, but at the same time, it's sort of a somewhat unpleasant scenario for him, because, yeah, if you think of the previous match, he comfortably equalized in game 1 with black against Karyakin, and then in the second game with white, he managed to
Yeah,
press,
convert.
and finally win. So now he might get an impression that Wesley So is doing exactly the same against him, like
That's a
holding
draw,
with
really.
black, and it's even that simple. So that's partly what Alexander Grischuk was thinking about. Rook c2 came with a draw off as well. So pretty quick round today, ladies and gentlemen. All games drawn. Not a lot of excitement, I have to say, apart from Nakamura Dubov. The opening line was was pretty funny. Here, this one a little bit unexpected, because we really thought that two bishops have to be an advantage.
Better, yeah.
Yeah, have to
But
be.
maybe they were, but not sufficiently enough.
Yeah, it could be that really the moment where Alexander played rook a to d1, I mean this moment right after we got to this endgame.
Yeah, so there's a lot of finesses in this position.
Yeah,
and
it could be that something was possible to improve.
Right.
Right. Yeah, so we'll wait for Alexander Grischuk and Wesley So to come up for an interview.
You know, like maybe Alexander is going to show something, and there is a b5 move, probably the same lines that we were considering.
Yeah, we can.
Let rook d6.
Look. I mean, we can show it. I think what the line he's showing, rook c2. Yeah, bishop f4, rook c2,
b5.
and the line they're discussing is bishop c4, b5. Yes, bishop d3, rook b2, bishop f5.
Yes, but what if just black simply takes? Is there something?
I don't know. Perhaps they are kind of convinced that it's still good enough, you know, the compensation. Like rook d6, rook a6, maybe that's the point.
Or maybe even rook d6 and there
d7, it's like rook d7.
was an idea to play bishop
Yeah,
e6
now
at some
bishop
point.
e6 is a threat.
Yeah, so king g7, and I think this position is
Yeah, it's like something like that.
It's very similar.
They are discussing something very
Yes.
similar. Yeah, all right. So obviously it's not for nothing Grischuk offered the draw. Now they've switched to analyzing rook c5 after bishop d3. Bishop d3 and rook c5.
bishop
Keeping the
e3,
pawn protected.
rook
Bishop
c7.
e3, rook c7, and you still can't take on b5, yeah?
Or maybe I can, but
Nah, but I don't
rook
see-
d6, you mean?
once again rook d6. This rook d6, bishop e7.
Yes, and
yeah.
there is no good move there.
Yeah, the problem is like you go rook c6 and then he
Knight
takes the
d5, yeah.
bishop,
Everything is
protecting
protected.
the rook. So the question is if Grischuk was worried about getting a worse position there, right? That's
I
definitely.
think he wasn't, but he just... Okay, first of all, he has like 3 minutes on the clock, and you can blunder anything, even in the
even
drawing
in
position.
such even in such simplified position, yeah, the time is definitely a factor. So that makes it much more tense for tomorrow, right? So, well, today all games drawn. Let's so tomorrow, obviously, to remind you, they'll play with colors reversed. What will be what we can expect? I mean, from the openings.
Like, Dubov plays against
Dubov
Nakamura with
playing
white,
against Nakamura with white,
and I don't
so-
expect him to play something calm, because probably... Okay, probably Daniel may consider himself as an underdog in
In
the
rapid?
shorter time control, despite the fact that he is a
world champion. No, I don't believe it. Yeah, well, okay, it will be interesting. I mean, once again, that's the most intriguing. In terms of the openings, like, for instance, Wesley So most likely will play d4. And
or e4.
he can play e4 as well, right? But this one will be very hard to predict.
Yeah, I
Wesley
expect
So,
Wojtaszek
very tough, yeah?
not to play e4 against Peter Svidler. It will be
Wojtaszek against
d4
Svidler.
or probably c4, most likely d4.
Wojtaszek Svidler. Well, that will be very interesting. I mean, kind of, you know,
Yeah, against
two
Grunfeld.
theoreticians, and I'm wondering if Peter will play his Grunfeld, by the way, against Wojtaszek, because, yeah, with all respect to Peter and his, let's say, he has brought contributed a lot to a theory of Grunfeld defense, but I'm not sure if he's 100% up to date, Peter, because I mean he's doing a lot of various stuff, commentating this, that, and Grunfeld is such an opening. I mean, it's like if you skip, okay, you were working on Friday, Saturday, and then Sunday you skipped, and then on Monday you are not up to date with the lines.
It may be painful.
Yeah, it's like you skip one day of work in Grunfeld, and then you are not up to date. And Wojtaszek obviously is the specialist. What else?
Against Wei.
Nepo against Wei. Might see another Sicilian with colors reversed, or a Petrov as well. Yeah, absolutely. And then Dubov against Nakamura.
It can be anything.
Will be really dependent on move 1 from Daniil Dubov, right?
Yes, but by the way, like to sum up, what was the game of the day? I mean, like.
I would still say that it's Dubov's
Nakamura
game.
against Dubov, right?
Yeah, I would still say that if we are forced to pick up the game of the day for such a calm day as today's was, it would still be a game of Daniil Dubov against
or
Nakamura.
probably Grischuk against Wesley So, because at some point we overestimated Alexander's position with a pair of bishops, and Wesley demonstrated a very nice
defense,
understanding how to defend these slightly worse positions.
Alright, so we are ready for an interview with Wesley and Grischuk. We'll come back after the interview just to say goodbye, guys. Okay, we are ready, I believe. Yeah, Grischuk, Wesley So.
So we're in a playing hall, and the last game for this day finished also in a draw, and Alexander Grischuk and Wesley So are with us. So Alexander, you were playing with the white pieces, and the position looked quite simple after the opening, but you were thinking a lot during the queen's exchange. So were you thinking about the draw off, or what? I mean, from Wesley maybe or not?
No. But first of all, it's not simple at all, because it's extremely tactical position. If I manage to consolidate, it will be unpleasant for black. But there are so many jumps of this knight. It can always jump to b4, to d4, then to e2, to b5, to c3, or b4, take a2, bishop attacks b2. There is always g5 for black, and it's actually extremely complicated position. I mean, just tactically. I mean, there are not, of course, there are not that many strategic ideas in this position, but there are so many tactics, and it just depends. I mean, it's either black just equalizes immediately, or it will be unpleasant for him for 100 moves or whatever. And I don't know. What I played looked good for me, but I think Wesley played at least very principally. I don't know if also to me it looks like very good as well. And I had to sacrifice a pawn in order to continue, and then it's just very complicated, at least for me. And okay, at the end I can either play bishop c4, b5, bishop b5, knight c3, bishop d3, rook take f2, and then it's just a draw, or I can just try to prove the compensation. Of course, I have good compensation in any case, but just to play pawn down for some unclear compensation and much less time was not too appealing for me. So I tried to find something, but could not, and just agreed a draw. But even if Wesley, let's say, didn't offer a draw, I will just play bishop c4, b5 take, and then it's just a draw anyway. So.
And Wesley, what's your opinion on this game? Please tell us.
Well, I thought we played quite well today. I'm pretty happy. At least it was a pretty decently good game, unlike my first classical game with Duda, where I just lost in 2 hours. And after that game, I just want to play some good chess, really, because that was embarrassing. And and I think in the opening I played decent moves. I wasn't expecting ed4, and I thought the endgame should be okay for me. But of course, with the bishop pair, white is pressing a little bit. His light squared bishop is really powerful, And these days in chess, any small advantage is usually played all the way to the end. So I think Alex tried very hard to go for the win today. So I realized when he played G3, slow moves G3 and King G2, I have to defend very precisely in order not to get into trouble. And I decided to go, I thought my H5 was good, and then I decided to go G5 and Knight B4 to force things a little bit. Just I don't suffer for a long time. And and I think things were pretty much forced. In the end, he found accurate moves, Bishop E2, Bishop F4. And then in the final position, I'm a pawn up, but I have absolutely no idea what's going on. White has the bishop there, and I don't think he's risking much. And I have to be very careful with my king. I have to protect my 7th rank also.
Thank you very much for this explanation, and good luck to both of you in the next games.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, quick day today, 4 draws in round 2, game 1, but the tournament will continue, so tomorrow please make sure to come back 3 p.m. Moscow time. It will be game 2 with colors reversed, and if those players will not, if nobody's gonna win, then the day after tomorrow we will force them to play the tiebreak. I think that was it for today. Really a relatively easy day for us. Hope you enjoyed the show. There've been something to watch. There've been hopefully something to listen to learn to from the commentary. Well, we are really hopeful for that. Please make sure to come back tomorrow, 3 p.m. This will be game 2 from round 2. Thanks for watching. See you tomorrow.